Good evening, good afternoon, good morning, wherever you are throughout the world. Welcome to Now Chat Show. I'm your girl, Kaz Mac.
I'm your girl, Miss T. Don't watch the cold.
Mate, I don't understand. Like, why are we both sick like this?
Child, don't get me down and depressed. Like, I don't like being sick. And I swear, this time last year, I had that nonsense. And I still don't have my taste back.
What?
But anyway,
What last year? What was going on last year?
Last year I got the nonsense.
What's the nonsense?
I don't want to say it. I had flu.
You have flu. Oh,
Yeah,
see,
really
snap. Okay. So, but it's that time of the year anyway. So,
exactly.
I mean, it's
Expected.
going to happen, yeah?
It's inevitable.
I'm just kind of like sharing because, yeah, we need some people to come and join the show. But anyway, it is all good. People will come when they come. Hi, let us know who's in the building. Welcome to Now Chat Show. If it's your first time to the platform, my name's Kaz Mac alongside Miss T. And we have an amazing show lined up for you this evening, this morning, this afternoon, wherever you are throughout this world. We have got some crazy topics to discuss. We're still a platform to inspire, so please don't be kind of turned off when you see us getting a bit, what's the word I'm looking for, Miss T?
Passionate.
Yeah, passionate. That's the word. I'm getting a bit passionate about the topic. I'm just actually going to let you guys chop it up because I don't even think I should be commenting about Jeremy Clarkson, Harry and Meghan story. Then we've got, who else have we got? We're going to be discussing this.
Ngozi Fulani.
Oh yeah, with Lady Susan Hussey.
Yeah.
Who else?
The young lady there that unfortunately passed away.
Oh yeah, Nicole, Thea. Yeah. And the recent inquest with regards to her passing, which, yeah, we're going to discuss that because I think that is definitely something that we need to discuss. What else? Oh yeah, the World Cup is over. Unfortunately, Tremaine is not with us today. We all know that Tremaine is she's a football chick, but we thought we'd just touch on it because there was something that was mentioned. What's his name? What's his name?
Mbappe.
Mbappe. Yeah. So Mbappe, yeah, we're going to talk about that later to see whether or not, what's people saying, if he's gay. Yeah, but anyway, we're going to talk about that a bit later on throughout the show. And yeah, and whatever topics comes up throughout this conversation. First and foremost, I just want to let everybody know right now, I'm not feeling 100%. I know last week I was just going through some mental health challenges, but this week I'm going through cold and not feeling well. And I'm doing the most just to be here to, be consistent and be with you all, because obviously on Sunday, it's going to be that time of the year. It's Christmas. Some of you know I don't celebrate Christmas, but at the end of the day, there's a lot of you that does. So happy festive, happy holidays and all of that great stuff. What are you doing on Sunday, Miss T?
It's family time for me. I don't celebrate that particular festival, but I celebrate family and I welcome them into my home. It's a beautiful time.
All right. So is there any upcoming events taking place? Because we normally discuss that at this stage of the show, but I actually haven't done any research, even though people have sent me details about events, but I haven't actually made any notes of it. So I'm sorry if anybody's looking for somewhere to go over the festive weekend. I'm sure there'll be a lot of information shared on social media, but not today. We haven't got anything. Oh yes, but on New Year's Eve, Hackney
social.
Yes,
yep.
So we want to big up to our man like Ben, who is the visionary founder of City Splash. So they have now got their license to 2:00. So I believe on New Year's Eve it's going to go until 4 a.m. where they do have Rampage, DJ Pharaoh, and a neighbor who will be spinning some tunes as well on the day. So on the
Tickets
evening,
are released. Tickets are released tomorrow, and the early
£10.
bird £10. So
£10.
for
That's
all
a
of you
bargain.
that don't like spending big money, tomorrow. Don't
Tomorrow
forget.
is the day. Yes. And is there anything else? I feel like there's.
I don't know.
I can't even think about anything else that's been going on. But yeah, that is it for us. I think we might as well just get the show started,
Let's do it.
I know. So we have these amazing aunties that are going to be joining us. I think it only makes sense for us to just give you a quick breakdown, just in case you don't know about your aunties could never, which I don't understand why you wouldn't. So your aunties could never will bring they bring entertainment. They talk no nonsense, straight talk from women who aren't afraid to say all the things that we wish we could say. So who are the aunties?
Auntie AK, Auntie Farah, Auntie Nana, and Auntie Sade are 4 friends from the UK who have lived life and are well respected in the business endeavours and amongst friends and family, elevating them to elite auntie status.
Yes. So I think without further ado, we might as well bring these aunties onto the platform. But before we do so, I think we just need to get ourselves in a little good vibe. Just shake off whatever energy. And gosh, I hope I share the right slide.
You know, I've done that already. When I screamed and got excited when I saw Auntie AK, like I've done mine.
All right.
Let's go. I wake up to a little bit of drool on my pillow, feel like it's gonna be a bad day. Yeah, I'm tired of shit, and the coffee ain't hit yet, damn, ain't that great. I don't wanna go to work, cause my...
All right, ladies, and a warm up. Welcome, ladies, to the show.
Hello.
Good evening.
Hi.
Good evening.
How are you?
How's everybody? We are great.
Good.
We are great.
Not complain.
It's just, you know what? I feel like, mate, I'm not even gonna lie, but you know when you just feel a bit like starstruck right now, Miss T? Because we got Auntie Nana, we got Auntie Sade, we got Auntie AK Akua on the stage with us right now on the platform. And I'm just like, yo, mate, like it just seems, obviously I know you, Nana, yeah, but it still just seems, when you see you guys on your podcast, on your social media, and then you're on our platform, it just seems
so inspirational. And I want to send love and healing to the bad girl, Auntie Farah.
Yeah, listen.
Yes.
Yeah, we're not leaving you out, Auntie Farah, okay?
Not at all. Can't do that.
Never.
Can't do that. So before we get started, how is everybody this evening? How's your day been? How are you doing?
I'm good. I've had a full day, done some shopping, got my nails done, did some work, and just was preparing for this coming on you guys' show. So yeah, I'm good.
Amazing.
Yeah.
What kind of nails did you do?
Yeah, that's what I was gonna
Oh,
ask.
classic.
Nice.
Very
Classic.
nice.
Lovely.
And what about you, Auntie Sade?
Yeah, I've just been. No, I was working today. What am I talking about? I was going to say I've been really chilled, but for the last couple of hours, I've been really chilled and I'm watching a new show called Big Sky, recommended by Auntie AK.
Big Sky.
It's interesting.
It's interesting. I've not heard of this.
It's about these private detectives. Something I won't give away too much, but something happens, and you wouldn't think that they would get along, but they end up becoming kind of partners, really, and solving a quite serious crime. So yeah, but it's interesting. It's interesting.
Where can we find that?
On when am I watching it? Disney Plus.
Oh, it's Disney. Yeah, I was going to say Plus.
Yeah.
Oh no. Okay, thank you.
And last but not least, Auntie Nana.
Hello, everybody. Yeah, it's been an all right day today. I'm having lighting issues, like it shouldn't be this dark, so I may pop away for a second and just sort out my lights. But yeah, it's one of those technical fluxes. I went to put out a message today to everybody asking if they'd got their superpowers yet. I feel like mine are in delay on the 21st. Like I'm waiting for my
Oh, is
superpowers.
it? Shoot, I missed.
It's the 21st of
today.
December.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Winter solstice. Winter solstice?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It starts
Oh,
today.
well,
Is it
when-
until the 24th or something like that? Is that the
It's
duration? I think?
literally for today. Like this is when the energy shifts, but actually the energy carries on through Christmas.
So can you explain a bit more about this, just in case anybody that's watching or catching a replay, they want to get a bit more insight to what you're actually talking about?
Okay, so on one level, the 21st of December is the winter solstice. It's the shortest day of the year around the world. And then on another level, it's said that our melanin is activated. So Black people get superpowers on the 21st of December as well.
But can we just caveat that is not actually true?
That's what you think.
I want to
Okay.
Allegedly.
Wasn't it supposed to be last year and it didn't happen? So
It happened for some people. It happened for some people.
Yeah, man.
oh, okay. Which people, please?
It's happening for me. It's happening for me tonight. So when you lot start seeing me flying outside, that's me, yeah.
I had powers. It's just you just don't know where they are. Essentially,
Okay.
Gotta locate our powers.
yeah, you got to locate them. It's in the
So
secret.
go and search for them, yeah?
If you didn't get them, that means you haven't
That's
tapped
like
into the
super
higher plane.
useful.
You have to dig deep in the
Almost
DNA. It's there
It's
dormant.
almost like not bothering to have them, to be honest, if you have to find them, isn't it?
No, but I want mine. I want my power.
I have mine.
Yeah, you got yours. I'm
Yours.
waiting for mine to be activated. They're getting there slowly.
I'm like you, Auntie Nana. I want mine to be activated.
Yeah, me too.
It's going to be activated in the next 30 minutes.
There we go.
I just want it into existence. So if I do the most, you know why I'm in my superpower. Anyway, so today we have got some topics that we're going to discuss, and before we Iola's just jumped on. She just said, "Happy winter solstice, ladies." Hey, Iola, we hope you're feeling a lot better, Queen. Right, so I think it just makes sense. We just delve right into this show. So let me. All right. So obviously we've been inundated regarding Jeremy Clarkson. His newspaper article where he spoke. Well, it was a rant. It started off as he basically had an article in the Sun newspaper. Was it on Sunday? Where he was speaking really ill towards Meghan Markle. The TV presenter, who has never met Meghan, claimed he dreams of people throwing lumps of excrement, I believe that's shit, at her after watching the bombshell Harry and Meghan documentary on Netflix. The series takes a look into the couple's experience of media harassment, racism, and mental health issues. And although Jeremy said he felt sorry for Harry, his feelings about Meghan were not as sympathetic. All right. So I just wanted to know, like, what's you guys' thoughts on this? Because, I just wanted to find out what everybody's thoughts were.
Innit? Because everyone and their mum's got an opinion about this right now.
Yeah, aunties, what you guys got to say? Because you lot just talk the thing.
I mean, what do you, Jeremy Clarkson? I'm even surprised that he's still in the public eye. Let me rephrase that. I'm not surprised because of this is the world that we live in and white supremacy dominates, but it's just the fact that he could get away with what he's got away with, from hitting someone, singing that nursery rhyme, the racist nursery rhyme. He's been king of his castle for a long time from Top Gear, and then when we thought he'd be dethroned, he still managed to find his way back. And the fact he's on like a family show, like Who Wants to Be a Millionaire, and they're not getting rid of him, it's not surprising, but it's surprising.
What do you mean they're not getting rid of him?
So far, the comments are
hasn't he been fired now from the Sun?
No.
Sure.
From what
I'm
I'm
pretty
seeing,
sure on the Voice reported it that he's been fired.
Latest news.
Let me double check.
I'm just going to check.
Has he been fired?
As far as I was aware, he hadn't actually. Nobody had done any action yet. ITV or the
No.
firm.
Yeah, so far it's saying that he's going to stay on. The boss has said he's going to stay on.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah.
No,
So all in that nutshell, it's like,
But the only thing they've done is they've removed the article from. He's asked for it to be removed.
protecting
He
him.
asked, yeah, the son.
Yeah,
didn't
he
remember.
asked. But then at the same time, if that's how you feel, then why are you asking for it to be removed if that's how you feel? Do you know what I mean? Because at the end of the day, yes, he has been having a backlash and everything else, but it's still not going to take away what is being said and how he feels. Do you get what I'm saying? So it's almost like you want to remove the evidence, but we already know.
Yeah.
That shouldn't have been printed full stop, period.
But the thing is, also, he didn't have to watch it. Nobody forced you, hold open your eyes and told you to watch it on Netflix. So what is that all about?
I don't believe he's even watched it.
I don't think so either. Yeah, I don't think so. I think it's like he's just ranting. And I am surprised though that this is the thing that has made people wake up. Do you know what I mean? So like, do you know, like this is not necessarily the worst thing that's been said.
Right.
Do you know what I mean? I think that the picture that, what's that guy's name, Danny Baker, tweeted with, you know, the human parents and the baby monkey when they had their first child, and Meghan and Harry had their first child, is on the same realms of that. Do you know what I mean? Like, this is not the worst. So I was kind of like, well, it's Jeremy Clarkson, what do you expect? It's the son, what do you expect? Do you know what I mean? Like, so I was more kind of on that kind of, I'm just surprised that it's the people are really, really up in arms, and the amount of now I don't even know how to use but the amount of woke white people are now, you know, do you know what I mean? This is terrible. This is violence against women and and all this kind of stuff. Like, oh, now she's human. Oh, now, do you know what I mean? Like, because I don't know what it is, but it's just very interesting. Well, I'm glad as well, but I just don't think you can expect much. I don't know what Meghan and Harry can actually do about it. If they can, you know, go up against the sun, I'm not too sure. So I don't know where it's really going to go, and it'll be interesting to see what takes over this news cycle, really.
But do you think it's a distraction so that, you know, because obviously everybody's been watching Meghan and Harry, yeah? So do you think this is his way of obviously getting some kind of press, you know, because some, you know, obviously negative news sells just as well as good news sells, right? Yeah. So obviously everybody's talking about it, and this might be his way of just getting some kind of, I don't know, just kind of like saying the things that what real people are really thinking, so to speak. So he's just jumped onto it and then getting the attention for himself. I don't know. I'm just hypothetically kind of like speaking.
There's definitely something to that. There's definitely a section of especially older white men who are severely affronted by Meghan and her being able to, they would say, capture like Harry. So he is voicing an opinion that is already out there. And that's why the Sun would put that out there as well, because they have also had, you know, the thing is, because he's a name and because of the documentary, it's like the perfect storm. But they have been writing disgusting articles about her like daily for years, and nobody has batted an eyelid. I guess maybe this documentary has opened up some parts of the community's eyes to actually what they've experienced, and some levels of empathy have now been explored from some fractions of the general public. But generally, most people were jumping on the bandwagon and hating her and feeling no remorse about it. What can be done is everybody like complaining. That's one thing that I've been seeing, is more people actually sending in complaints about the article. But realistically, I think this is their lot. I think this is what's going to happen. They're always going to be discriminated against, and Meghan is always going to be the butt of some type of article going forward, especially when it's sanctioned by other royals as well and other royal aides.
Nova Ray says, it's sad to say, but the attacks on Meghan Markle have become the normal in British media. The Sun newspaper is just as accountable. Hold on, let me see if I can get this fully. Just as accountable for allowing the publication. So it's not just Jeremy to blame, it's the Sun as well, because obviously they've been going for Meghan from day dot.
Yeah.
And I think Meghan should sue the blows and beat. I was going to say something else, but she won that case against the Daily Mail, and I think that's their precedence. She's got the money and she's got the power to do it. Yes, sue them, hang them out to dry. Absolutely, because before
I don't think she could win because it's an opinion piece.
Yeah.
Whereas she won that is an absolute infringement of her rights.
Yeah.
Or privacy, yeah.
Yeah, but I can't see how, it's his opinion. Maybe she could sue Jeremy Clarkson on some grounds, but
it'll be difficult. It'll be a difficult one, and I think that's probably why they've done it the way they've done it. Do you know what I mean? I think it just doesn't. I think it's a situation where, in the kind of a twisted way, everybody wins, because as much as they are able to sell more newspapers and continues the status quo, like, it does make the Netflix series more popular, more people are going to watch it, do you know what I mean, and that sort of thing, and so their story gets out there, or their version of their story gets out there as well, do you know what I mean? But I just don't think, I think it's what this really has reminded me, because it's not like we didn't know, is that our press is one of the worst in the world. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's disgusting, like the way it just tears people down, and it does not give a damn about anyone, like anyone's fair game. And people like Jeremy Clarkson, Piers Morgan, they're happy to play in the gutter. They are absolutely happy to. They do it with a smile on their face.
Yeah.
So Kwame's written, it's a distraction. The High Court passed just the other day that it was okay for the UK government to deport asylum seekers to Rwanda. Go figure. As for that comment.
It's interesting when people say about the distraction, because it's true. There's levels of distraction, but it also depends on what you're watching. Because I've seen that news and debates about that conversation about the deportations as well, as well as the Meghan and Piers and Jeremy nonsense as well. So it depends on what your algorithm is set to, which news comes your way. That definitely hasn't gone under the radar, but this news is dominating in the popular culture side of things. I think I wonder about when how the distraction works, but I mean, it's all part and parcel. And as everyone said, everyone benefits in a mad way. But for me, it's to what end? To what end in the end are we what's the resolve? Because after all the things where resulting in like Princess Diana's death, the press kind of calmed down for a little bit. They got wrapped on the knuckles. They pulled back a bit, but they're back to normal, as you see when in the documentary from when Harry was talking about how he was bombarded through school, and then now with his new wife, how it's just the ante's upped again. But what for me is what will stop them? Is it for Murdoch to die before these things? Because he seems to be the linchpin to all of this. That his reign over media. It dictates how media falls in line. So with his demise, I don't know who is in succession from him, whether they're going to continue. Those of you who watch Succession, catch my silly.
Well, it's probably going to be one of his sons.
Yeah, so if it's
so then it will continue then.
Yeah,
well, it depends on if his sons carry his way, or as we kind of hope that we're hoping, fingers crossed, that it's going to be the whatever generation, maybe 2 generations after Gen Z, that might change the wave of all the nonsense that we've had to experience, that they're going to be finally woke in the real way to all the things that we've tried to do and implement for marginalized groups trying to speak up and counter the negativity and white supremacy. Maybe those later generations might be the ones to change things. But I don't know if it's going to be in a lifetime.
I think it's really sad. It's bullying, and it's inciting hate towards someone you haven't even met.
Exactly.
Like, you broke it down on a cellular level, like, mate, You got
Yeah.
no time. Like, what are you doing? So for
Yeah.
me, when it comes to like, we're allowing our children to see this. We're allowing the children to think that this is acceptable. And for me, like, yeah, it's about the children. It's about the future. Like, no.
But isn't that Britain anyway? Britain has made its money, its legacy, its thingy by simply bullying. Do you know what I mean? Like the fundamental. That's
Global bullying. It's a
what
global
it's done.
bullying.
Like, do you know what I mean? Like, so is it not just a reflection of the people? Do you know what I mean? So I don't know. I'm not that optimistic at all. I don't think any sort of do you know what I mean? Like next in line is going to change anything, because I think until people are honest with who Britain is, do you know what I mean? What the history is and stuff, and actually does the work and actively, not just a one-time course or whatever kind of thing, like actively on a daily basis, and is actually in fact practicing anti-blackness on a daily basis, nothing's going to change.
Yeah, I agree with you. I mean, obviously, when you look at Britain is, the colonizers. So to me, it's like this kind of way of thinking shouldn't really be surprising. Do you know what I'm saying? So I think even though everyone's like, oh my God, how could he do this? How could he say this, etc., etc. But the truth be told, they are the colonized. They're the colonizers. This is what they have been doing to the world. So why are we acting like it's all brand new? Just because it's in the article, just because it's in the newspaper? And I definitely do agree. I do believe because of this whole Netflix, that's why I do feel like it's a distraction. And obviously with the Netflix, documentary on Harry and Meghan, it's giving them, how can I say, it's giving them, it's pushing more people to actually watch the documentary, number one. Yeah. And then secondly, it's proven a point what Meghan's always been saying and Harry's been saying.
Yeah.
And all of us have been saying, to be fair. It's not, we've been talking.
It's always been said. So, yeah. Alrighty, so we're going to move on as we're talking about Meghan and Harry. There was a TikTok video that was shared. I believe it was ZZ Mills that shared it. I'm just going to bring it up real quick. Just bear with me one moment. Let me see if I can find it.
Very different to be a minority but not be treated as a minority right off the bat. Obviously now people are very aware of my race because they made it such an issue when I went to the UK, but before that.
So if you guys seen that episode, I think it was episode, is it 3 or 2?
Yeah, I think it was episode 3.
3, yeah. So when she was talking about, being a minority, I can't remember it word from word, but for me, when I saw that personally, I was just like, okay, I just thought about the brown paper bag pass. And even whilst I was watching documentary, even though I've only watched 3 episodes, I'm not going to watch anything else further than that because I really don't have the time for it. But all of her friends to me were all Caucasian. So to me, it is like she's always kind of passed on that side. And it was a conversation I was even having with a sister in today. If we had somebody say like Michelle Obama, that was say like, let's just imagine somebody like her character got married to somebody like Harry, a proper true Black empress goes into that situation. That wouldn't really be a conversation, if that makes sense, because she would kind of like say like she's mixed race, but she had Michelle Obama's kind of way of thinking, her kind of strength, etc. She would be more leaning towards, I'm a sister anyway, so it wouldn't be surprising that these people are saying these things about me. But because she's always passed as being like a white girl, so to speak, it's never really had an impact on her because of her social people, the work that she does, etc. She's always been passed for that, rather than say like a Black chick, so to speak. So it's like almost like, okay, so now this is happening to you. Now it's like, okay, all of us Black women and everybody else wants to be siding with Meghan, but she never really saw herself being one of us in the first place. Does that make sense? Am I making sense?
Yeah. I agree. I agree. I think her one black friend was Serena. Just to point out that she is in the show.
But were they really friends though?
They are really friends.
Well, she's
friends.
yeah.
Oh, they're proper brethren. Oh, my bad.
Yeah.
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 Right.
So I think that it's I think Kelechi was saying it. It's just like that conversation. I think sometimes it's just a bit uncomfortable when people have that conversation in non-black spaces, because it's just like from especially like the Black British experience. Yes, to white people, it doesn't matter how much black you've got in you, you're black. Do you know what I mean? Like that's generally, obviously mixed race people can identify whether they see themselves as mixed race or black, but that is kind of a new phenomenon, to be honest. You know what I mean? Especially, I would say, in London for sure. But yeah, it is. But the thing is, and this is my, putting all the really scummy stuff aside, that one of my biggest criticisms of this is just that, had the press not been so negative, Meghan was happy to be the face of the empire. Do you know what I mean? And fundamentally, I have a problem with that. Do you know what I mean? I could never, I can't look to you as this gold. Do you know what I mean? Like, we might have a joke and be like, yeah, it's cool, we got a bit of black in the royal family, but ultimately, what you stand for, what the institution stands for, it upholds white supremacy. No, babe. Like, do you know what I mean? You have to whether you're Michelle Obama, you fundamentally have to be okay with doing that to marry into it. Do you know what I mean? So it was, I guess it was interesting that she spoke about it, but at the same time, I was just not surprised. I was a bit annoyed at her mother that didn't have the conversation with her beforehand as well. And well, I'm not surprised you're having this reaction, because that's not you don't have the same experience as us. Do you know what I mean? Like, not on a British level, not on a black level. So of course you're going to be surprised. Of course you're going to be like, what the hell is this? And also as well, I just thought, like, from her husband's point of view, he should have prepped her. Do you know what I mean? Like, he should have absolutely prepped her. He lives here. He knows what it's like. So he might not be black, but he has black friends. Do you know what I mean? British black friends, to know what it's like. So
it was an absolute culture shock for her, wasn't it? And
it really was.
It was a real slap in the face, and nobody prepared her for it. She didn't do her homework, because at the end of the day, she didn't feel she had to do her homework, because she actually said, like, nobody made an issue of it until I got here.
But isn't that such a privilege that you don't have to? Exactly. We have to, I would say, have to do our homework if we're going to a different town outside London. Is it a bit racist? Is it not? Do you know what I mean? And you think you could come all the way over here, get married to the prince, and not do any homework? It's privilege.
It's a bubble. I think she was very, very protected. I would love to know Daria's story, her mum's story, as to what type of black woman she is, because obviously this documentary is very sweet, it's very nice, it's presented well, it's very saccharine and sanitized. So you get a mother that's like, I regret not teaching her. But what actually type of experience did this woman has? Was she a black woman that suffered lots of racism, so felt like, let me get away from that world that I experienced and try and make, and have that? And did she have that mindset that actually dating white, creating a mixed race child, being in that space will take me away, or at least save my child from some sort of plight that I had? What was Daria's existence? Because there are lots of black women and black men who feel escaping their world. Or was poverty the driving force? Was it the fact that in the world, I mean, they weren't necessarily in poverty, but maybe growing up as a working class woman and in that space, what was her mindset in how to survive in this world today? I really want to know what type of woman she is, because that will also set in line what world did Meghan grow up in, because she went to regular schools, and because she was very clever, she was pushed into a lane. So especially with black children who are clever, parents that see that and see that their child possibly has a way out of the hood or working class life, tend to put them into places where there's more white children, because they think that any other situation might bring them down or hold them back. So then I don't like to blame parents, as mothers especially, because of what we're up against, single mothers as well. in that sense, but there is an element of accountability for parenting. Like, what was the mindset? Why did your child grow up in a world where her color was never addressed, her race was never addressed in the way that now put her in a space where she naively thought joining the royal family would be a walk in the park? And yeah, and back to Harry as well. What was? But I think we spoke about it on our podcast that I think as a man, a privileged white man from a royal family, he was naive too. And also, he wasn't prepared. I don't think he was even prepared. I think he could have given her maybe more tools.
I don't know, but I have an issue with that, Okoye, because it's just like no. But the thing is, it's just like giving him that grace. It's just like, but every minute you're reminding us about what happened to your mom. So how naive are you? Do you know what I mean? You're not naive. You're not naive at all. You know full well what the ramifications could be and what the press is able to do, because you literally were brought up in it. Do you know what I mean? So it's just like
maybe from a racial aspect that
I think if he knows it's bad for his mum, he's gonna know it's gonna be 10 times worse for anyone black.
But I think but you know when you like, I think where she's coming from as well, and where possibly he's coming from, his girlfriend at that time was not the girl that he picked was so light. If he brought a black girl in, I think he'd be more like, bro, you know what you're walking into. I think both of them thought, because she lived
I
think
she lived a certain kind of lifestyle back in the US. Her lifestyle, like I said, her lifestyle was white.
And also she's a celebrity.
But her last acting role in Suits was addressing her biracialness, right? Do you know what I mean? So she was like, that's her biggest role, her most famous in that situation, and it was around her her parental background. Do you know what I mean? So it's just like, you know, like you were coming out as like, this is who I am. Do you know what I mean? And you brought it into your work.
She was hiding. I don't think she was hiding her identity. It's just that she didn't see it as people would be racist against me.
She didn't lean into it.
He hadn't experienced it. And I think for Harry as well, he may have known that the press were going to be intrusive, but he thought he had the backing of his family. Yeah. And without the backing of his family, I think that was the thing that was the most shocking for him, especially William, because they had that pact that they had together. Like, we are not going to allow the press and our press houses to affect our relationships. And he did. Yeah. So I think he was blindsided twofold. It was like, I knew the press would do this, but without the royal backing, we know what the press can do, because we saw what happened to our mum. If I had that with my sibling and they actually allow the wolves to come after me, that's way more heartbreaking. That's shocking.
I think he would have known if his family would be okay with a mixed race, him having a mixed race wife. I think he probably would have known that was going to be a no-no, and he done it anyway. And then he's shocked that they're not supporting. Like, I find that hard to believe. Not being insensitive about the situation, but I just find that very hard to believe. Like,
I don't think the evidence was there at the beginning that there was an issue until 2 years in, and there was an issue.
They don't even hire black staff. They're so
no, they do have black staff.
They pay the fine. They either pay the fine, or they're so above the law that they don't have to like adhere to the discrimination laws. So they don't have to hire black staff. This is your family. This is your actual family, and you're telling me they're going to be okay. I don't know. I think it would, or maybe
family. He's also a part of it.
Yes, this is what I'm saying. So like, you should know. You should know.
So what you're saying, that he should basically know where he stands with his family, regardless. Anyway,
he should have had an idea that they're not going to be okay with this, or they are going to be okay with this. I don't think they were ever going to be okay.
I think he had an inkling, and I think he thought that she's so charming, she's light enough, she passes, and thought she'd be charming. And then when there were a few things that showed that she was a bit, and because also in the documentary they say she started to carry favor, they started to be jealous, because if maybe she was a wallflower and she became like Kate, because I think also if she towed the line and became a Stepford wife, this would be different. If she towed the line, and if she wasn't possibly as popular, or okay, this sounds very petty, so it might not even be that, but the way they present it, going by the documentary, the way they kind of unfold the story was that the minute where they thought that maybe even the family were like, we can play our position, the public will judge her, and the public warmed to her in a way that was reminiscent of Diana. who knows if that was like, oh, a
I
shot.
just thought
Who
that was
knows?
very convenient and maybe hiding behind that instead of the
Yeah.
race issue. Do
Yeah,
you know
yeah,
what I
yeah.
mean? It
I
feels
think it's
like
a bit.
it protects them, because it seems like the worst thing in the world is to be called a racist. Do you know what I mean? And it's just like, like they're going to extreme lengths to prove they're not racist by being racist at the same time, and it's backfiring, and that's what's making it worse. And it's snowballed. Do you know what I mean? The whole thing is snowballed because they are in fact racist. Like,
Yeah.
Yeah, straight.
Yeah.
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 Absolutely.
Anybody wants to add anything else before we close this element of the topic? I think there's some comments as well. Did we read out about Kwame?
Yeah, we read that one.
This one. It is
No.
nothing surprising. Black women get called and are treated by agencies and organizations and a lot of white people like this every single day. What Meghan has faced is normal for Black women. True. In the UK. And exactly, Sade, the history shows how they behaved before, and to this day, nothing has changed and never will. And he said, this is a great point. Thank you, Kwame.
Yes, thank you, Kwame.
Yeah. Okay. So going on to the next topic.
We're doing a sister space one.
Yeah, we could do, innit? Oh, yes. So we had a so we kind of like put out there regarding like sister space. Where's the oh, actually, I know I do.
What I'm saying is, if you dress in an attire that is representing a culture or a sport, then if someone asks you where you're from, I guess they're expecting you to give them that representation of what they're from. I.e., if someone's wearing a jiu-jitsu uniform and they say to you, what do you take part in as a hobby or your interest, and you turn and say you take part in skiboarding, well, your attire doesn't mean you like skiboarding, so you want to get to the bottom of why you've got a jiu-jitsu uniform on. If you're dressing culturally and you're going to a setting or an establishment, you're making a statement to show this is where you're from. So I think if it's in that context, yes, no worries.
Okay, so that was an opinion based upon the post that we had put out. Just bear with me one moment. Let me just get the. Did I put the article out? Have you got it, Miss T? I think I WhatsApped it to you.
Hold on a second. You want to send it back to you?
Oh, you can read it out actually, so that those who were watching and they may not know exactly what's that feedback, that response was in regards to.
Are you talking about the statement that they both put out, the joint one?
What actually happened at Buckingham Palace? Why was it an issue for Lady Susan to be asking the CEO of Sister Space?
Ngozi Fulani. So
yeah.
Apparently when she went to, I think it was so many days of like an activist thing that was happening at Buckingham Palace. So lots of organisations that support vulnerable women were attending, and the sister had her locks out, and apparently her locks were covering her name tag. So when the lady was asking her, like, where are you from? She asked her several times and she gave her an answer every time until she kind of got frustrated. Like, you keep asking me where I'm from. I'm British. I'm from Hackney. Like, what do you want me to say? Kind of thing. And then the lady moved her hair to see what her name tag said. So that's where it is escalated. And again, the sister was, you know, as far as I'm concerned, lynched in the media, because like, how dare you, you know, she said how she felt, and she felt that she was targeted because nobody else was receiving, you know, the questioning of, you know, where are you really from? like kept pressing it. So hey, I personally don't agree with what the person was saying in terms of the recording that we just heard. You should be able to dress and represent yourself how you feel. So for me, it's just like, okay, so it's like saying that if a woman is going to wear a short skirt and show her cleavage, that means that when she goes out a road, she's looking to get raped. For me, that's like, no, it's not. Ladies, what do you think? Do you know about the situation?
Interesting. Because at first glance, yeah. So when this first came out, I think there was way more public opinion. Like, this is out of order, and we've all experienced these questions. And what do you expect? The royal is racist. And as the kind of weeks have gone on from it seems more like there's more Black people, or they're finding them, to go on various different media channels. Like the other day, I saw Nana Akua and I saw another girl called Esther, like really pointing fingers at Ngozi Fulani, like she's cosplaying as a West African woman, one of them said, and that really she should have stated her real name to the palace as well, and that what she's done is just stirred up this racism, and there really isn't any racism because she was fictitiously presenting herself as an African person, and once asked, didn't want to say that she is African or Barbadian descent. Like, it just seemed very interesting that there's so many Black people now that are really going after her as well, and not seeing the line of racism that she faced in being questioned like that from an Asian royal. Like, I find that quite interesting that the tide seems to be changing.
Oh, was you going to say something?
So I thought Kaz was going to ask something.
No, I'll go afterwards because I'm going to go
again, they always roll out these people, and Nana Akua, I'm so upset. As you all know, she's got my name, and I'm very upset every time I hear her. I think, who's cool talking? But I saw her commentary, and it was so scraping the barrels of relevance because she was really trying to find a way to maintain her right-wing agenda that she does, to find all the reasons why what happened was normal. And even when she was talking, I was like, do people like you actually believe what you're saying? Or is it just because you're getting paid and you're getting visibility in this space because it's to be an anomaly, you'll get more money and attention? But the normalizing of asking where you're from, it doesn't go like that. And if I think the woman could have asked, oh, where's this print from? Your dress is nice. And sometimes we know that sometimes those line of questionings are ignorant in themselves, but at least it's presented in a way that's less intrusive and rude and separatist than where are you actually from? No, where are you from? Because people are, the fact that Black people are saying like she was dressed in a costume, she was someone said she was dressed crazy and her hair, and I think those type of insulting things, that goes to show how much Black people, and it depends on how many people are saying that, because I've seen lots of people supporting her, so it depends on your algorithms again on who's coming forward and saying those type of things. But then it's like, if that be the case, how much anti-Blackness there is within our own community, that dreadlocks is seen as a thing, traditional clothing is seen as embarrassing, or I don't know, old-fashioned, or something, or I don't know what they think. But the woman could have asked questions about her in a much more polite way, a less intrusive way, and didn't have to say where you're from. It shouldn't be normalized. We're in the UK. It shouldn't be normalized.
I agree. I think it's intent, isn't it? Like, if someone's asked me a question, what's your intention? What answer are you looking for? Do you know what I mean? Because you can clearly see by our skin colors, technically we're not from the same place. You know that, I know that. So what are you trying to get at? Do you know what I mean? Why are you trying to get at that now? Do you know what I mean? In this space, in this moment, why? And also as well, the what's it called? Like, you're imposing this on me. And it's not right. Like, you've got the power here, almost, kind of thing. Like, you feel like you have the power. Lady Hussey feels like she has the power, that she's even allowed to even ask that when it's not really relevant. As I said on our show, she is not the national census. Like, why is it important for you to know where I'm really from? Like, seriously, that doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like, I just can't stand that. It's just like, even I remember, like, you know, I got into my corporate career and stuff, like people asking, oh, you know, where are you from? Oh, London. Where are you really from? South London, Brixton. Like, what is it that you want to know? Do you know what I mean? Like, or ask the question, ask the real question.
Be direct with the
I'm
question.
not going to make it easy for you because your line of questioning is making me uncomfortable. So we're both going to be uncomfortable. How about that?
Yeah.
Like, seriously, I can't stand it. And it's just like, you don't really have a right. I just don't think it has the right to know. And the point about her name, like I know a lot of Caribbean and what do you call it, American people do this. They change their name when they kind of go through that journey and get in touch with their roots. They change their name into what they want it to be, or maybe sometimes they talk to elders and they kind of get a name for them. Like, who are you to tell anyone that's not their name? Like, seriously, it vexed me so much.
It's disgusting that you have other black women as well in public talking about somebody else and really chastising them for having an African name. Like, the levels of bountyism is just so disgusting. Again, it's all the C's. It's just nasty.
Yeah.
Like, they really need to be flogged.
Yeah. And I think also, even with her just moving her hair, you know, like,
that's
your name back. Like, yo, brethren, you're touching my hair. Like, yo, that's the next argument for me personally. Yeah, I do my braids. I do what? Don't.
I feel like it should have been used as a learning tool for all of the Karens out there. Like, protect yourself. Because for me personally, my mum taught me. I teach my daughter, like, know when the hand is coming and dodge the hand. Yeah, because if the hand touches your hair, that's assault, and I can't be held responsible for getting your hand after and twisting it up. You do not. Can any of us sisters go and touch Karen's hair and be like, "Oh, your hair's nice, Karen"?
So where you really from, Karen, and then touch your hair and move it to go look at name badge.
To be fair, because they're not ever victimized in that way, it's not a problem for them. It's really not a problem for them. I used to be a hairdresser. And sometimes hairdressers, we can forget ourselves, especially when you're that hairdresser. You come and like see someone's hair, your instinct is to comment, touch, feel. I've done that before, but I know that unequivocally, white women are not in the same position as black women when it comes to being objectified because of their race. So if you touch their hair, they wouldn't even mind. Some might even see it as a compliment because of the way that white beauty is set up. That straight flowing hair is the hair. So if a black person touched their hair, they'd probably see it as a compliment.
They're calling the police, Okoya. What are you talking about? They're calling the police. They're going to say that they've been attacked.
They've been attacked. Not in that same way. Not in the same way that because they don't feel the same. It's not we went up to them in that way. Because you know anything we do is
I hear what you're saying, but it will be used as an aggression. It will be turned on its head, and the moment they get attacked, it will be turned on its head.
You know what it is? They may not even use it, but they can. They can use it as an aggression, and we can be arrested for it.
Yeah.
So it depends on the Karen you're going to touch, because another could be like, "Oh, that's great," and another one's going to be like, "That girl assaulted me."
Yeah, he's really aggressive. And I feel so scared for my life.
Yeah.
She touched my hair. So don't go around touching people's hair, people.
Anyway. Don't do it anyway.
Well, furthermore, but I mean, to be quite honest, even if she came, like, obviously she's in a African outfit, she looked nice, she felt good and everything else. But it is almost like a discrimination just because you have got an African print that therefore, okay, it's like, so where you're really from. Now, a lot of us is from the Caribbean and obviously come from Africa. A lot of us don't know where we ascend from the continent of Africa, right? So I've had people say to me things like, oh, you know, so where you from? I say, oh, I'm African, Jamaican, and then I'm British. Oh, whereabouts in Africa are you from? I have no idea, but I can't deny my ancestors. Do you get what I'm saying? So I suppose if she has said, well, if you're asking me whereabouts am I from the continent of Africa, I really couldn't give you that question. I couldn't give you that answer, or I would say something facing like, maybe you could tell me, you know, like, I don't know, but maybe that's just being a bit rank. But what I'm saying is that at the end of the day, she just felt to me that she was insulted. Like she said, she was traumatized because it's like, why am I being asked this question? Because of how I look, because of my name, because of how my appearance is. You should be able to walk boldly how you feel and be that woman regardless.
And it's like Auntie Sade said, it's intent, because there's another scenario where I suppose if I want to give a little room for those who are saying it's an okay question, it depends on the intent, it depends on the environment, it depends on so many things why this white woman of privilege felt the need to ask this question, because there is an element of how do we then get to know each other? How do we get to understand each other? How do you get to differentiate between the different cultures and communities? If you're a white person that's trying to understand and be better at recognizing the individual characteristics, traits, traditions of other communities. So it's always down to the intent. But that paired with moving of her hair, with the smugness that, oh, we're going to go, this is how it's going to go. Oh, it's going to be difficult. You're going to be a difficult one. All that then turns a potentially innocent line of questioning into an aggressive assault. And that's it.
Yeah.
That's the thing. But it's like, she answered your question one time. You don't need to ask again.
You don't need to ask
again. Like, you could just tell by that answer whether this is a relevant, the conversation is right for this time and space. Do you know what I mean? Because not every we're not a monolith, mate. Not everyone's going to be open. Just because you got a black friend that's ready to tell you their whole family tree doesn't mean that every black person is going to be the same. Do you know what I mean? Like, so they just need to, I just think, white people just need to relax, man. Not everything is about you. How would you feel if we're asking you when we meet you, like, oh, that's an interesting name. Did your family own slaves? How do you know? Are you sure? Can we look them up right now? Do you know what I mean?
Maybe we should. Maybe we should start doing that.
Like,
I think we should.
Yeah. Lyle, really? Like the
sugar? Really?
Yeah.
Have you traced back your family tree?
And I think that's the problem, because we're not being direct about certain things. That gives them permission to be able to do things like in this situation, because we're not addressing it. We're not flipping back on them. We're not shaming them, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
What do you guys think? Sorry, I wanted to get you guys' opinions on this. You know, it's come out recently that they're being investigated now, Sister Space, that they're actually looking at their finances, and they're going through like a charities commission. I think it's a soft investigation at this point, but that to me feels threatening. I feel like it's really there to amplify for anybody else, any other black comes along and complain, but we're coming for you. Like, make sure that you have all the I's and dotted, you know, all the sayings, like literally, like make sure your business is correct, really.
And it's that thing of like, you wish that someone could rebel and just say, because when the minute I saw that story, I saw the apology, I saw that Ngozi was like, I've had the conversation, everything's fine.
Yeah.
Not in those like words. And it's like, we wish that we all had the strength to middle finger when they come and kind of force us to smile and say it's okay. When you have those, when someone's been murdered by the police or something, and then the parents say we forgive the murderer, when really what we want them to do is burn this world to the ground because of the injustice. But in that moment, who knows what you're faced and stuff like that. So it's I guess it's very easy for us to say, I wish she hadn't necessarily, but that's not for me to impose, because who knows what she was up against. Because it just seems that whole statement that we had a conversation, she's apologized.
I think that's fine to do, actually. I do think that as black people, when we get to like usually it's when you get to a certain level and you start getting invited to these spaces, you need to really think like that's not a safe space for you. You always need to remember it's not a safe space. Like, don't get like, you know, I think I said it even the other day. It's just like, you know, the story of OJ, you're still black. Like, don't ever get it twisted. And there will always be repercussions. So if you're gonna go in those spaces, make sure that you're, you know, everything is patterned completely. You know, also got to know, like, I'm not really, I can never see myself on an MBE track. I'm not interested, don't care. Do you know what I mean? But if you want to play
that game, Benjamin Zephaniah,
yeah, exactly. But like, that's what I'm saying. Like, if you're going through that, if you want to go through that track, and I'm not even saying that Ngozi it's not that, but if you are, then you need to get everything in line, because one wrong move, do you know what I mean? It's just gonna.
So do you think her house was out of order then? Do you think her house may have been out of order, like the organization?
I mean, it might be. I think the thing is, if it wasn't, you probably would have heard that it wasn't. It might be minor things. Do you know what I mean? Or because they said, oh, I saw one so annoying, one black girl reporting. I think she's just a reporter though, but she was saying that they filed their accounts 2 months late or something like that. Which happens to so many businesses. It's unreal. Like, do you know what I mean? But when you're a charity and if you have this spotlight on you, it doesn't give off positive connotations, especially when it's a charity. So people are donating money. Do you know what I mean? So like, you do have to take, like, you don't get the same grace. You absolutely don't. And you need to, I think you should be mindful of that. Like, you know, it's too easy to get got. Basically.
Keep It Love says it's fine to accept an apology and let go. Holding on to the anger or resentment hurts no one but self.
That's facts.
Yeah.
That's true.
I don't know.
It's just I mean, for self, as long as you're not damaged personally, fine, do whatever makes sense. It is just the fact, and this is not about Ngozi, let's remove it from Ngozi specifically. In general terms, when people who've done racist things haven't really been held accountable and nothing changes, and then they roll out black people to say everything's fine, we forgive, we accept the apology, but yet nothing has been done. Maybe just a settlement, maybe a plaque in an honor, maybe a black square. That keeps the game, and nothing changes. So that's the problem in these spaces. But personal, if it's eating you up alive, and I don't know, not giving you this, I know you can't move forward in a way. Personal forgiveness and whatever gets you moving in the day, if that's what it is, that's different from, I think, the other side of things that we're talking about, in my opinion, anyway.
Yeah.
And I feel that it's convenient for them, for the religious connotation, to turn the other cheek and to give and all the rest of it. Me personally, Dopino to frighten, I'm not at the stage in my life where you can do these things and I'm going to let it slide. I'm going to speak my truth and tell you it's unacceptable. So it's not that I don't forgive. I'm a very forgiving person, but I am going to pull you up and tell you about yourself, whether you like it or not, because it's time.
Yeah.
So there you go.
I think if the shoe was on the other foot, though, it'd be a totally different argument. So if it was, say, like two black people having this dilemma now, this situation, it would just be at arms. Do you understand what I'm saying? There would be no, like, we're not as forgiving towards ourselves, but we're forgiving to the institute. Do you get what I'm saying? Like, it just, that's what's frustrating. And then obviously you having your own kind that's also siding with the system and going against you. So it's like, how are we ever going to get the healing that we really need if we're not even supportive of each other?
I think there's more.
Sorry, I was just going to say that that's a power thing, though. Like, it's for Ngozi, I can only imagine it's easier for her to do the public, do you know what I mean, apology thing, because also the organization was shut down for a couple of days. I think that reopened now, but shut down. So, you know, Sister Space does such important work. They can't afford to shut down, not for our community. Do you know what I mean? It's just like a lesson. And I hope people understand that, and I hope people see the play, like, because we're not stupid. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, we know, like, that apology is for the royal family to show, oh, we're not racist because we sat down and had a conversation. And she even said it. She said it. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, so
but did she not leave her position anyway? Didn't Lady Susan Hussey, did she not sign off her position anyhow?
She resigned, yeah. But
she was going to resign. How old was she?
They didn't want backlash. I'm starting to think that the royal family is so scared of black people revolting and coming to the
That is the underlying of everything. The foundation of white supremacy is built on keeping us awake. We wake up, really.
But if we all wake up, it's
But
not.
it's very hard. It's very hard because you've got to change the mindset of so much ingrained bullshit.
The game's rigged, isn't it?
The game is so rigged. It's so rigged. And I love to be optimistic, but it's so difficult because you've got one faction like, hey, we all got it, we get it. Then you go over there and then you see this leader's taken a whole loan from the UN or blah, 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 and then conceded this. I don't know. It's a lot that needs to happen. It's like a couple of generations need to just disappear.
Yeah.
Nova, I'm just going to read out what Nova comments. She said, I feel that because the institution felt attacked, they then had to attack her through the media and try and show her in a negative light, because obviously she got a lot of backlash and everything else herself. So it wasn't just everybody got it, really.
Yeah.
On all sides, do you know what I mean? So it wasn't just say like the royal family with the Lady Susan Hussey. It was everybody. And obviously, like you said, Sister Spaces was closed down for a duration of time. And obviously that had an impact on their business, and also had an impact for those who uses their service as well. So yeah, it's really sad, but I'm glad that the apology's been accepted and we can now move forward, I guess. Does anybody else have anything else to add before we move on?
No, all good.
All right, so gosh, my head is just like, yeah, Nicole.
Oh, bless her.
Oh, yeah. So the recent inquest took place with regards to this, the late Nicole Thea, who basically died herself and her son. And basically, I would really say it like this, is that the medical health system failed her. That's just the only way that I can kind of like put it, in terms of her really being sharing how she was struggling with her, her pregnancy, not being able, feeling that she couldn't breathe, just walking from one side of the room to the other. And her even sharing that with her midwife at the time. And midwife was like, well, that's just normal. I'm just hypothetically speaking here, guys. I'm not saying it word for word. But, it was just basically saying to her, oh, that's normal. You are carrying a child, so that's to be expected. But resulting from that, she has got a history. I think, is it from her grandmother? That, from her grandmother, who basically had a heart condition. And due to that heart condition, she was basically, it wasn't documented or anything. It wasn't like her family, the females were tested or anything of that nature, which then resulted her basically dying, and her child dying, because I think her child only survived, was it like 7 hours or something like that before he passed? Was it 7 hours, or I can't remember word from word, but that was like back in, what was it, 2020? Was it 2021 when that actually happened? So the inquest was only of recent. I know apparently they were doing a protest march on Sunday, just to bring awareness with regards to, especially as us as Black women, because there's times where, not even just women, even our Black men, if they go to the hospital and they complain of the pain, it's almost like you've just been dismissed, because supposedly our pain threshold is so much higher in comparison to a Caucasian person. So we kind of like get disregarded. And I know this because one of my friends, he had kept on going back and forth to the hospital, saying that he was getting pains in his stomach, and which resulted in being in a coma for, I think it was like about 3 days. They had him on the in the theatre open, and I think basically what happened was his appendix must have burst. But how it had burst, it just then had an impact on his blood, and it was just all this complication, but he was lucky to survive. So when I'm hearing about Nicole's experience, it's like, okay, so when is this shit ever going to stop? And it's, it's like young people going forth. It doesn't matter what your age is. You could be our age group, going forth and saying, I'm in this pain, and we're just getting disregarded. Do you get what I'm saying? So for this young lady to say, I'm out of breath, I'm instantly, if I'm working as a nurse, as being your midwife, I'm going to be, okay, how long have you been experiencing this for? There would be a lot more like probing, a lot more questions. It wouldn't be, oh, well, you're carrying a child. If somebody is saying something like, I feel like I can't breathe, to me, that is really quite serious. So for her to be disregarded like that, I just feel that if that wasn't the case, she more than likely will still be alive. That's just my opinion.
So at this point, I think I'm going to jump in because I'm a doula. I've trained with when push comes to shove. And I would advise any parent, mother that is embarking on this journey to know your rights. Yes, the NHS are amazing. However, they're understaffed, they're under pressure. And unfortunately, there is an element of racism, especially when it comes to Black women. They don't listen to us, you know, and it's not just us. When it comes to childbirth, it is not a disease. We're built for this. So what happens when it becomes medicalized, when we go into a medical situation, they just want to take over. And by taking over, they actually traumatize many women and many babies because they know what's best. Well, actually, they don't always know what's best. And women should be encouraged and supported to speak up for their own rights and not give their rights away. But because a lot of us don't know our rights, we just go along with what they're saying, and we don't have to do that. So I would suggest, I would try to remember the name of the book and put it in the description, but know your rights when you have your baby, do your research, know what you're embarking on, so that nobody can come and tell you any nonsense. You need to educate yourself. Do you know what I mean? So unfortunately, there's not a lot of women that have a positive experience when it comes to childbirth. And we need to ask these questions as to why not, you know? I'm a great believer of try and do your best at home or in a birthing center, and be in control of what's happening to you and your body and your baby. Your body, your baby, your rights.
How much does it generally cost to have a doula with you through your pregnancy?
It can depend. It's not really that expensive considering what the journey is about. So when a doula is qualified, when she's been present for about 5 births, then she can charge anywhere from about £1,500 upwards. It's totally up to her. And nowadays as well, we have a mass exodus of midwives that are actually leaving the NHS to set up their own, their own practices and stuff like that. So, I mean, I trained in January 2020. I trained as a doula. I had a doula for my first child. I birthed at home. It was a beautiful experience. And I just knew what I was doing. So, for example, when the midwife first came and I said to her, I don't want any drugs in my house, I'm going to do this by myself, the woman laughed at me and said to me, this is your first child, are you all right? Like the level of rudeness, was just unbelievable. Like, this is another woman. And instead of her being kind of like kind and empathetic, it just was so lacking,
Yeah.
Unfortunately, I was able to have a Black midwife who was very nice, but also I had to lay down the law. It was my home and I knew what I wanted. So, for example, my daughter passed her first stool, so I couldn't get into the birthing pool. But they were just like, right, we got to rush you to hospital. And I said, whoa, no, we don't. They were like, what do you mean? I said, let's listen to her heart. Is she in distress? No, she isn't. So why are you going to pull me out my comfort zone? Stop the birth, because what happens is the birthing hormone is very, very shy. So once you stop the lady from, what she's doing, it can cause complications straight away. It's fight or flight.
Yeah.
So we have to be in a relaxed environment. And I think more women need to just say, and they absolutely are, because of the lockdown and everything, more women are having their births at home and taking charge. And it's a beautiful thing. So yeah, you can find birth keepers. There's so many out there, but like I said, when people come to shove, they advocate for pregnancy. They put in out very, very relevant information. So please do your homework. If you want to know more, get in contact with me, and I will signpost you or I'll tell you what I know.
back to like Nicole Thea's story, I feel like the family, they got done over like a lot of black families who are suffering from injustice. You start listening to generally the people that are in authority around you. Like, don't tell the general public what's going on because you may hinder your justice. I think inevitably you generally, if you don't have public support behind you and you go to an inquest, it's probably going to be ruled in the favor of the institution. And it's just unfortunate that they had to suffer that because there was such a quiet for almost 2 years. And we didn't know, but we knew that there was something, there was like alluding to something went wrong, but we're not going to go into it yet. I think it really, there may have been a different outcome if they had the public at that moment in time when she first passed and loads of lawyers really to surround them to be like, what are the facts of this case? What is the racial prejudice that she may have suffered? Could there be some other way? And do you need all of the organizations, marching for you, like really lobbying so that you actually get justice in this? I hope they carry it on and there is a review of the inquest details, because to me it does sound like there was some type of racial negligence in there, especially when you look at her YouTube videos and she's talking about breathlessness. A 25-year-old shouldn't be breathless in pregnancy.
That's right.
Absolutely not.
I can't even get to the end of my bedroom without feeling absolutely out of breath. That's warning signs. Like,
absolutely warning.
But that's why I'm saying that if I was a midwife, I'm going to probe and ask you more questions. Do you get what I'm saying? Like, how often have you been feeling this way? Maybe we need to look into this a bit more further and things like that. Maybe get your checkup. Do you get what I'm saying? Because
the general thing with black women, when we go to hospital, like I've had a friend, and when she had her baby like 9 years ago, they left part of the placenta inside her, and she kept going back and saying to them, "There's something not right. This is I think it was her third child, so it's not like she's a novice." Yeah. She knew there was something wrong, and she went back to the hospital and said, "Listen, there's something wrong. Can you please check me?" They didn't want to check her. Do you know she had to threaten them and say, "Listen, if I'm going to drop down dead, yeah, and I'm going to leave children, I'm sending my family for you." At that point, when she threatened them that way, they were like, "Okay, let's have a look." What did they find? Piece of the placenta.
Wow.
So we go in, and because angry black woman. Oh, it's not that much. It's not really, because they say that we don't suffer the pain, that we can handle it. So I think, is it, what's her name? A young lady, is it Rachel Humes? She done a documentary a couple of years ago. You know, and even you sent it to me, Kaz, and I go straight to the comments, right? And again, like the racism, the absolute, like, are you serious? This is not on. So they actually, it's like they want us to die at any point, everywhere. And no, we can't lie down and die for them. This is nonsense. We're not doing this. So we've got to educate.
Aunties, AK, Sade, do you have anything you want to add? Or
I think I'll be repeating what everyone has already said, and it's just a really sad state of affairs. I was young when I had my daughter, and I was carefree and didn't even know half the things. I hadn't experienced that, so I wasn't aware. But it's so easy to not be aware. So as has been said, you've got to do your research, and especially the young, regardless what age you are, just really do your research. Because I went in very oblivious and unaware. But my mother's an ex-midwife, and she was in the room with me, so it always had an element of comfort, because she was in the room and she was up close and personal, where the midwives, the assigned midwives were as well. So I was always okay. But it's like, do as much research as you can.
I mean, I don't have kids, but I think like more like the pain thing. Well, I just wanted to, I guess like that. The problem with it is that it's taught in medical school. And the origins of it, that Black people kind of like can have a better pain threshold or higher, is the origins are in slavery. Do you know what I mean? So until they sort that. Do you know what I mean? Take it out of the textbooks, because that's like each new batch, that's what they're learning. Do you know what I mean? So, and it's like, so the doctors believe it, the midwives believe it, the nurses believe it, everyone believes it, and it's just simply not true.
But then at the same time, with you saying that, I mean, a lot of midwives and nurses are like of black and brown skin, yeah. So would they not challenge that and say, well, actually, I disagree with that? Do you know what I'm saying? Or would they just
when you're in an institution, do you know what I mean? You have to go by what their rules are. It doesn't matter what you believe. If you go against the status quo, or what your job is, or what the guidelines are, you can't not administer or administer pain relief on your own accord in the NHS. You'll lose your job in an instant.
Yeah, of course, I get that, but that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about in terms of training. In terms of training, I'm not talking about when you're actually practically doing it and you're, you know, dealing with a female or a male that's going and is experiencing a lot of pain. I'm just talking about in terms of your training, because I know when I was doing training to become a social worker, I told them straight, I can't do this because I don't believe in what you're talking about.
But I think it's
different, because if you're looking at nurses, but if you're looking at nurses that are immigrants, they're gonna they need the job to stay in the country.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So who are you challenging?
And knowing people directly who work in the system, and especially that as their experiences are unfolding, the way that when we just like we're sometimes surprised, as we talked about some of the stories we talked about today, we're just surprised at how basic racism just runs rampant in everyday environments. And you have literal cliques in working spaces, and definitely in these spaces as well, where anything a Black nurse or medical person does is scrutinized to the nth degree in contrast to their white counterparts. It is just, so the minute you do something, you become rebellious, you become difficult, you get marks, they get I can't remember the word, they get written up every day. You can get written up just for breathing funny, or another senior nurse says she was rude, or you made a mistake it's just so precarious being in that space, and especially on top of the pressures of the NHS. And then we have to deal with our own internalized anti-Blackness, which isn't always realized in the way that, you know, we're communally like, yes, we're Black and we understand the racism, but you can be perpetuating it, because also sometimes out of embarrassment of yourself, like you're scared, so be quiet. There's a roughness, and there's a familiarity with Black people where, as much as we understand the status quo, we can be disrespectful to each other in a way of familiarity, where like, just shut up, stop being silly, just come on. We're quite rough with ourselves. We're not very careful with ourselves, and sometimes, unfortunately, we have people in those positions who, especially, especially was, you know, could be even judging us for even being in, especially if you're a young mum. You're coming in with someone who's looking at them like, hey, you're young, why are you pregnant? Why? Whatever kind of situation, people come with their own judgments on top of everything else. It is so hard. It's such a difficult space to be in.
I think the first time when I saw, at 16, my cousin was having a baby, and it was just myself and her in the room. Her mum didn't want to turn up. No, it was just two 16-year-olds. And the midwives, they were Black women.
Yeah,
it was the worst. It was the situation was atrocious. Obviously, she's a young girl. She crossed her legs. The woman said, "What are you doing that for? It's too late for that."
Yeah.
Oh,
there was no empathy. It was awful.
Surprising to me.
It was awful. So for me, that was my first experience of raw. Is this how we're going to be treated?
So, sorry, just so I can so you and your cousin went to the hospital. Your cousin's having a baby. She's in labor, but she crossed her leg, and the midwife, who's Black, said it's too late to do that.
Yes, and draw up on her leg.
But that's not surprising to me, because I think there's a casualness to sometimes how we have that it takes a village mentality, even though it's starting to change and shift. But there's an element of just, we're rough with each other because of everything we are very rough with each other as well.
But I think there's definitely a real culture of being rough with Black women, and the NHS and nurses carry that on.
Yes.
Midwife, nurses, and to me, it's like you want to call them auntie, but I guess there's a culture of treating Black women like shit. and they uphold it as well. And you think they're not going to,
but they do.
Both kids I've had, and I've always had black midwives, and they've always been very shitty. It's just like, it's just been a standard. Each time I've gone to hospital, I've witnessed that same level of disrespect from black nurses. Even sometimes I feel like, does that give you more brownie points if people around you see that you're being really bad to the black people? Does that give you some extra points in your shifts? Do they is it easier for you to get through the day? Like, it just seems like there's some really insidious practices, and it's so unfortunate because that's a route that a lot of Africans get to come to this country, is through the means of being a nurse and working in the NHS. So it's just another form of racism and how they catch us in a loop to keep it going. You need this job, but you've got to be shitty to other black people in your job as well. It's very, very distressing.
Because there's a real, I think some of it's just, it is, some people are just shitty, and some of it's just survival mode, because they don't want to be seen necessarily as going above and beyond for it, because the minute you click up, it becomes a strike. I mean, my mum used to say when she worked as a midwife that even speaking in her language with fella, it'll be called out, it'll be criticized, it'll be frowned upon. You're clicking up, why are you speaking English? Why are you bringing your, those type of things. And that definitely hasn't changed. To the people that I know working in the NHS right now, in those spaces, it has not changed.
I think, what was I going to say? Also, I do think there's definitely like that respect thing is an issue. It's like a bloody barrier, because on one hand, like, you're not my auntie though. You're actually not. Do you know what I mean? Like, and actually you need to do a job. And like, the sooner you get over that, then we can move forward. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's just like, I don't, it's like they want you to apologize for being in that situation. Like, you literally, you're here to do a job. Do you know what I mean? So you should be doing it. And like bedside manner. Do you know what I mean? Like, that's has to be advice. I don't know.
And also,
maybe
I agree.
Culture.
It is. Sorry. I was going to say that also, like things like any institutional job like the police and things like that, because they're also at a deficit of people, then the training and development on so many things that if you had all the time in the world, as it were, to really like patient care, really hone in on those courses, and they're not rushing people through. I'm sure people who are studying medicine and in whatever capacity knows it's not easy. It's not easy, but there's an element of like, we need people. We're just gonna go through the and done. And where?
Sorry, I'm just thinking, like, I swear, is it because it's free? Like, do you know what I mean? Because, like, obviously, if you go back home, I don't know about Ghana, but like Nigeria, you have to pay, right? So maybe they see it as like, you're even getting this. Yeah, okay. Like, you're even getting this for free, so you should just be grateful. Because it's just like, it's an attitude. There's definitely like a bit of an attitude. Like, why are you expecting me to be not? Because it's your job. Like, do you know what I mean?
And I'm sick.
Yes,
exactly. So have some kind of compassion.
Like, sympathy. Where's the sympathy? Where's even the pretend sympathy?
We're harsh. Sometimes we're harsh on ourselves, on each other, because of survival. Do you get what I'm saying? So there's the judgment, there's the embarrassment.
But some wards, right? They're all black women. So what is it like? Who are you impressing in this moment, or are you just trying to regain control over your minions? Or maintain control.
I think it is an ego thing as well, and a power thing. Absolutely, they get it over us. Like I said, I have got so many stories of black women, like, even coming to my door after I've had my baby. I'm coming to make your baby cry. I slam that door in her face. Who are you talking to? Make whose baby cry?
Baby cry.
Yes.
Why? I don't understand.
Because they want to. Okay, so the heel prick test, right? The heel prick test. Now that test is not for. It's for whether your blood clots. Now, as a person who is indigenous, we don't have problems with clotting. We keloid. So that test is not for me and my baby. So at the point where you're telling me I'm coming to make your baby cry, bitch, no, you're not. Because I don't need it, the baby don't need it. And I know this because I've done my research.
I think
go on.
No, sorry, I didn't mean to cut you. I was going to say, I think it's about information and understanding, because on the flip side, in hearing from people who do work in this profession, how we come in, and this is nothing to do with someone who's ill or suffering in the moment, how we also come in as patients and either act like we know, or also are saying, you are in, like, supposed to look after me, so you better fix up. There's an element of that, of how we treat each other. So there's a two-way relationship. So someone might have looked at what you said, Miss T, and be like, but I'm coming with you to do something that I'm trained to do. And then you're saying no. And depending on your delivery, I'm not saying how you delivered it, but someone else might have delivered it and said, come out. Like, I know I've done my, but then they're like, I've got to do this. And now you're being a difficult black person. Black person to black person. Sort me out, love.
No. Do you know what? It's your job. You have to cut through that. That's your literally your job, because your job is to make sure that people stay alive and that they're healthy. That's what you do.
No,
so part of your training has to be getting through that. You have to cut through that. Do you know what I mean? So even if I turn up, like you rightly pointed out, we're ill. That's why we're here. Or we've got a condition. We've got something.
In some situations, we can also
but you
back.
can't, like, you have to unless you're being absolutely abusive. Do you know what I mean? Like, which is unacceptable. Do you know what I mean? Like, you have to cut through as a professional. You have to have the training to get through that also. Do you know what I mean? And put that person at ease and say, you know what, like, I know this is a difficult situation, I know this, but I'm going to give you some time to think about it, but this is what needs to happen. Do you know what I mean? And whatever it takes, but it's just, you have to have that has to be on them, not the patient. Because the patient, even for them to be there, whether it's not necessarily just pregnancy, but you just don't even know what their life is, right? Do you know what I mean? You don't know if they're scared. You don't know if hospitals bring up issues for them.
And you'll face difficult patients from every other race, and sometimes it does feel like when you're dealing with a black staff member, there has to be some type of camaraderie, and then you'll see them talking to the next person who is really cussing them out, and they're having a lot of patience for them. And they're really being very patient, and it is, you just have to treat people like human beings. I think in hospitals you generally really do see anti-blackness in full effect across the board. And as I always say, black people and everybody else can be racist as well. We are not living in a vacuum. We've been brought up under their systems. We see how other black people are treated, and we can sometimes embody that same kind of distrust, harshness, and aggression towards other black people as well, like other races do.
Be patient as well. And I understand that the person in profession,
and
that's
I get that, but you can't put that on top of their element. Do you know what I mean? Like, because what you're asking them to do is that in that moment, I need to think about how you're feeling too. Like, do you know what I mean? The person who's getting paid to needs to do their job, basically, and that is part of their job. Like, that's too much. Like, I think it's a bit too much.
I agree with that. But if you get a succession of people acting like that without filter, it can also weigh someone down and make it difficult.
I'm not saying. I'm not saying there's not, like.
I understand it's a job, but then that attitude sometimes can also cause problems, regardless of anything.
But then the thing is, being too palatable and not, do you know what I mean? Pushing what needs to be pushed can also end you up dead. You know what I mean? So, it's on them.
Absolutely.
Okay, so if anybody is a nurse or anybody is in a profession, please have compassion for your patients and, treat us like human beings. That's all we're asking. We're not asking too much. Just treat us as human beings. We are just like everybody else. Treat us equally. So we got some comments. Petula said, "Good evening, ladies. I feel very strong about this. An experience during my daughter's pregnancy in 2017. The white nurses was that negligent and equally negligent. Sorry, thank you. And also equally, the black nurses were just as bad." She also goes on to say, "Yes, we did go on to complain. Not much was done, and the black nurse had the cheek to approach me to ask for a good reference. Obviously, she did not get one."
That familiarity business.
Whoa, must peak, man. Ashley Bennett says, book is called Am I Allowed by Beverly and Lawrence Beach.
Yes, brilliant book. I would absolutely say that if you are planning to have a child or children, get the book.
Sorry.
So if everyone is just as racist, does racism actually exist, or should other words be used?
What?
I mean, it definitely exists.
Yeah.
Yeah. But what are you
Absolutely.
trying to say? Like, it depends.
Racism
'Cause sometimes
doesn't have
it's
to
prejudice,
just come from.
but
It
yeah.
doesn't have to just come from white people. It's actually like a systematic oppression against a color, a race of people, and black people suffer from that. And we can suffer from it from various different people. They don't have to just be white. It's just if you're carrying out the oppression, it's a form of racism. We don't need new words. We already have anti-black. That we don't really need to convolute the situation and add in more things to the dictionary.
And I think what a lot of people don't actually understand, to be a racist, we can't, as black people, we cannot be racist because we have no power. We have to be in a position of power to be able to, come forward with those actions. So because we're not, we can be judged, we can be prejudiced.
Well, yeah, we're not oppressing another race of people. That hasn't taken place.
Mm-hmm.
We have gathered enough resources to do that, and I just don't think black people would do it. Actually, I actually don't think it's a part of our inferiority complexes. I don't think we have it.
What?
Say that again.
I don't think black people have inherent inferiority complexes that even if we did get all the power in the world, we are going to systematically oppress white people.
No, we're not like that.
No, definitely not. No. We're not making.
We're not. We're different people. We
I
might.
don't know. I think we like to think that we're not.
I think
I don't know.
There's a segment of people that would.
I don't
Because
think
it happened in Jamaica was it in St. Thomas? I think it was like 18. I can't remember what year it was, but anyway, they basically, I think it was the Brits, English, or was it? I can't remember who it was, but basically they just took them all out. And because of that, there was a consequences. And then obviously everybody came against the Jamaicans that was in St. Thomas. So they will go for you. But at the end of the day, we don't really have enough. I guess it's not even having enough power, but I just guess it depends on who you're going against and what they're going to use to go against with you. Do you know what I'm saying? Because obviously when you're looking at slavery times, it's not just the Brits, you've got the Portuguese, you've got the French, you've got all of them all coming together. So obviously they're going to have a field day with us. So it's only just one segment of people that would have the mindset of, yeah, we're coming for you. They're going to come with violence and everything else, but they're going to get taken out. It's the same thing like with Thanksgiving. When you think about in America with the Red Indians, did they not take out the majority of the Red Indians there? Or am I?
Yeah,
Native Americans. But yeah, but I think I hear what you're saying, but I just think like from an aspect of like in, let's say like very generically in Africa before slavery from the Europeans came, tribe used to go against tribe and take people and enslave them technically. Do you know what I mean? So that makes me think, yeah, it's possible. It's absolutely possible.
It was a different type of slavery, though.
It wasn't the same.
Yeah, I'm not saying it's the same, but there's a spectrum of it. Do you know what I mean? But does it?
I'm talking about
do I think it's possible? Absolutely, because you know why? Humans and men.
I think the inferiority of dying out of we just don't have those sets of genes. So it's like I can't see how we would wholesale remove people from where they are and place them somewhere else and keep them in servitude. It wasn't even how servitude was done in Africa for thousands of years. It wasn't a part of what we did. So I just don't think I don't think we're gonna have this reverse that I think a lot of white people are scared of. I don't think black people are gonna do it.
I think we have different evils. I think our evil is not that way inclined. So
what would our evil be then?
I have no idea, but I just think our characteristic, I think what we've displayed, and again, unfortunately, under the cosh and the history of colonialism and slavery, I can't put my 100% heart on say this is who we are, but what we've displayed generally is an openness, welcoming, and even from when we welcome people strangely, we're welcoming people. So I think in that respect, our attitude, our personality, and our characteristics are different in that set. But do I think if black people ruled the world, we'd be perfect? No. I think we would definitely, there's isms, there's things that we might do that are evil in a different way. I couldn't say which they are because there is humanity as it is. There's some things.
Sorry. I just think like maybe we're like that now because we are the oppressed, right? Do you know what I mean?
No,
so like, if we didn't have oppression, there'll definitely be fractures. It's tribalism, like, do you know what I mean? Like, it's one tribe against another, one country another. There'll be, you know.
But it's what comes with it, because slavery and colonialism came with a different type of. It came with an eradication and intent to dehumanize and things like that. Whereas what I understand, African, in quotes, slavery was like conquer, and then it's like you worked for someone. You weren't your humanity, your identity, your tradition, and your heritage wasn't removed. But I don't know enough to say.
It sounds a bit romantic.
No. I mean, based on what
evidence out there, you didn't lose your identity. They didn't take away your name. You didn't lose your religion. There wasn't any of that totally stripping of who you are.
Yeah.
And I think that isn't what we would do. Are we above anything? No, we're not. But what the inferiority that keeps something going for 500 years, I don't see that black people have displayed that. I don't think we have it. So I don't think there's going to be a reverse on it. We haven't even sought out to get wholesale revenge on anything. It's like it's not happened.
Well, this is what I'm saying, but that could be a part of it, right? That could be a part. I'm just saying there are black people that there'll be factions. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, there'll be one faction that's gonna be like, yeah, we're gonna get revenge. What can you say to that? If you're good, you could be the peace and loving blacks, but there'll be other blacks.
No, I think under
this is never gonna happen.
Part of it that I'm referring to, but yeah.
Under what we've got
revenge
now,
is different. Revenge could happen. I just don't think
revenge could happen, and that's what white people are very, 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 very afraid of.
Yeah,
it's like they're punishing us for something that hasn't happened. Do you know what I mean? It's
they're
just
preempting it. They're absolutely preempting it.
You're probably going to cause it.
Yeah.
If you were something, it's generally going to take place. It's like actually.
Okay. I thought you meant I'm going to cause it.
No, I'm talking about
they're calling it into existence.
Yeah, you're going to call it into existence.
Yeah.
Just work on being a better human, and it may not take place.
Kaz, can you go to the other one first, please? The one at the top. Yeah, so the Native Americans were subdued with alcohol and promises of much more alcohol. So not only was it alcohol, it was smallpox as well, and they killed off all the bison. Okay, so
they did a lot to kind of.
I think I find it so very, very, very disrespectful when people do that alcohol thing. Like literally, all you had to do for a set of people to eradicate them was turn them into alcoholics.
No, but it was
so many different ways that they did it. They killed a whole load of leaders. They literally had lynchings. They gave them diseases.
That's right.
It's like it wasn't just, oh, here you go, here's a whiskey, and they were like, oh my god, I love whiskey.
I don't think anyone.
While at the time saying, oh, you know what, we'll work with you. Do you know what I mean? So under the guise of being good human beings. They literally just and just committed genocide upon genocide upon genocide upon genocide. So relax.
That's an actual aspect. It's like the crack, flooding the streets of America with crack. That was an element of
How psychotic do you have to be to plan that and do that and carry it out for hundreds of years? Like
hundreds of years, millions of people.
Yeah,
they're probably giving us even false numbers of the amount of people that they killed.
Yeah, exactly.
It's still, we know that it's in the millions upon millions. So it's not alcohol.
No, we know.
Okay, so Nova Ray said, when I hear, white Americans say they do not want black people in their country, I actually think, do they not understand they're not the indigenous people?
They don't care. They do know.
No, they don't know.
They don't care.
They're just ignorant.
That's the delusions of grandeur, isn't it?
Delusion. It's racism has to be like it's a psychological disease. It has to be.
Absolutely.
Do you know what I mean?
It's a parasite. I think it's actually a parasite that infects people and spreads around. And because it's a parasite, it needs to live. It's like a virus that has to keep on replicating itself and then moving into different ways so that it stays alive. Like it doesn't make sense that you can take somebody's land and then just because of the span of time decide that this is mine. That's
You're being so nice about it. Parasite, I'm calling them straight up devils. That's devilish.
Whichever. I mean, some people say parasites are devils. It's like you see them under a microscope, and parasite is crazy looking.
Yes.
But I think there is an infection in some way. It's like the human psyche has been infected with this parasite, and it keeps on surviving and transmutes and keeps on shifting. But that's mad. It's like to tell anybody to go back home when you ferried them over there is actually like you're mad.
It's like the worst player boyfriend.
Did we missed the comment because I would like to. I don't know who. I'm just going to call you D. How are you being oppressed? Are they not letting you have a channel on Twitch?
Oh, good grief.
Did they shut off your phone, cancel your internet, and delete your bank accounts because they found out who you were? No, they did not.
It's all right, love.
Yeah.
I just ignored it because I just like, okay.
Yeah, let's keep it moving.
Airtime for nonsense.
All right, so we heard that comment.
You're one of those that wants to argue with themselves in their basement.
Yeah. They want us to get them. It's okay, we love you. It's okay.
No, we don't. Well, I don't.
Right. I think we've got one more topic. It was about about that World Cup. What's the footballer's name?
Mbappe.
Mbappe, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So they're saying about it's not really confirmed that this is his missus, his girlfriend, but if it is, all right, okay. T, do you want to explain this? Because my head is like, I just feel bunged up. So
okay, so Mbappe, who plays for, is it France?
Yeah, France. France striker.
He's been seeing a transgender girlfriend in Israel who's been they've been very close. And so people have been asking, so does this mean he's gay? Personally, I don't care what you do behind closed doors, but I would have to say yes.
So you think he's gay?
Yeah.
Even though, but she had did she not have a sex change like when she was 16 or something? Yeah, she underwent the surgery to change her gender when she was 16.
And okay, so that was like 8 years ago. Yeah, I wouldn't call that gay.
No.
I say, as my understanding of gay would be two men, and that's a transgender, so is a woman to some degree. So I would file that under a queer relationship, but again, it's for them to kind of determine what their status is. But I wouldn't say that was a gay relationship that he's entered into.
Because fundamentally not, it actually isn't. So, and I think along the lines of what Auntie Nana said, who are we to tell him or them what they're doing and how he should identify? Do you know what I mean? In this world as it stands, a trans woman is a woman, and if he met her as a woman that she has become, then
she's a woman.
Yeah.
So if she was, say, like a transgender woman was to commit a crime, or be arrested, would they go to a male prison or they're going to a female prison?
That's what's up.
Depends what country.
At the moment, yeah, it depends on the country.
Depends on law.
Yeah.
If this person was going to vote, what would they be voting as?
Same.
If their gender has actually been assigned, it's the gender assignment. So literally, that person in this country, 8 years, they would be assigned as a woman. So they'd be voting as a woman.
Mm-hmm.
Depending on what country they're in, that changes. And the same if you commit a crime, that changes what type of prison you're going to go to. As it stands in this country, in most prisons, she would be placed in a women's prison. She wouldn't be placed in a man's prison because also she's gone through the gender reassignment. It becomes slightly different when you're just on hormones. That actually changes things. But, as if they are in a relationship, good luck to them. And really, I think it would be hard enough just being in the football world. It's like there's only, I think at last count, 3 openly gay footballers. So, we're still living in that in that world where just to come out and talk about your sexual preference in a sports capacity can lose you getting placed in a team. So I if he comes out and he says this is my woman and they are a couple, I wish him all the best, because it ain't going to be easy. It ain't going to be easy with your fellow teammates, and it ain't going to be easy with what they chant at black players from the stands as it is, let alone having an extra faculty for them to come at you with. It's not going to be an easy ride for him.
Yeah, and long live, well, welcome the day when who you sleep with isn't the forefront news, when you're, especially in a you're playing sport, you're doing something other that's not sex related. Do you get me? Where it's going to be a thing.
He's a brilliant footballer as well.
Say that again.
What would you say?
I said he's a brilliant footballer as well.
I have no idea.
Yeah, he is. No, he is. He's like basically man of the match for the World Cup, right?
Yeah, man of the tournament.
Yeah, man of the tournament. Yeah. But like, it's just. I'm
more concerned about it.
Oh, go on.
Oh yes, thank you.
Oh, what was you going to say, AK? Auntie AK?
No. Oh, they finished. Sorry, my bad.
No, go for it. What was you going
to
say?
I'm more concerned about him ignoring Macron. That was more exciting to me than who he's banging.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
That definitely was. But also, he's tipped for. He may get one of the first $1 billion deals. So
really,
I can't remember the
what club.
I think was it
Paris Saint-Germain.
I think so. I can't remember which one it was, but one of them is because he's with PSG at the moment, and they are considering putting in a deal, whichever club it is, and the package may go up to €1 billion, and he would be the first person to get a deal of that size. So hopefully, that happens for him. I'm really rooting for the dude. I think he's an amazing player, and I hope he gets all of his accolades.
Okay, just going back to the transgender, the sex. Petruda saying a trans woman is not a woman, even if her parts have been changed to female. Her biological genes are male. She was born a male. You can't change the biological DNA genes. Let's not be so PC. Let's deal with the truth of the matter.
It's actually like the two terms that she used in there, and I'm very specific with female and woman. Woman is it's a gender construct, and if somebody decides they want to be classed as a woman, they can. Female is gender based in DNA. That's very different. Male and female is very binary. You can only have two. That's a given, but that's not what we're talking about.
And I think I think policing how everyone's various opinions on this matter is also something we should explore, because it's not necessarily being PC if we're speaking our opinions based on how we feel personally. Well, I speak for myself. I'm speaking how I feel personally. I'm not being PC. So I feel.
I think also as well. What about their truth as well? Do you know what I mean? Like, you can't tell them what they are. You just can't tell anyone what they are at all.
We're in that space of the world at this moment. In our humanity evolution, we can identify with what we identify with. You're always going to find your tribe.
But if I feel strongly that I'm not really a black woman, I'm white, can I then say I'm white?
If you can say whatever,
I'm saying, like, I'm just like, I'm not saying, but I'm just trying to.
You can say whatever you want. You can actually, if that's how you honestly feel, but you have to just check it in terms of like, our society, is the society ready to accept what your truth is? Will they believe you? Will they listen to you? How are they
not going to accept my truth?
You know what I mean? So they might not, but they might not. Do you know what I
mean? For a male to then say, "Yo, I've always felt like I was a woman. I am going to be." Did you get it?
But that's how the word is responding. I think
that's what I'm saying. So what I'm saying is, there's some people out there. I'm not saying I'm that person. I'm just hypothetically kind of like just whatever. But there's some people that actually do believe that they are white.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They do. There's a white guy. There's a white guy that believes that he's Korean and he's done like plastic surgery. There's another white guy that believes he's a tiger and it's actually done like plastic surgery and stuff. But those things are not the same as sexuality. They're just not. Do you know what I mean? Or gender. It's not the same. Do you know what I mean? So people often bring those and conflate them, and it's not the same. I'm not an expert. Do you know what I mean? I'm not an expert in that field at all. Do you know what I mean? But like, it's you just can't tell a person what they are. You can't.
I think I understand the frustration of some people who.
What's the actual frustration?
I think when I'm not speaking for people. This is understanding from people's very many conversations, what people are saying, or what I think I'm interpreting. That when you've grown up in a certain way for your whole life or the whole existence, and the constructs that we've been raised under and around, when it seems all of a sudden this new normal. However, there's, again, similarly like asking where you're from, there's a way of speaking about this to explore it and get more information. It's all about everybody educating themselves, because we here are, if we're using the terms, are cisgendered women, female women who do not have the insight into that community whatsoever. There's a limitation to what we know. We can put forth our opinions, even whether we agree or not. There's a level of information that we are not privy to because of how we've been born. And people who are sensitive to this new normal, as it were, need to have more further conversations, and also check, I think, as you were saying, Auntie Sade, what is the frustration? Why does it bother you? In the end, bottom line, why does it bother you? Because I'm not going to sit and say innocently that I woke up today. I woke up when this conversation became more prolific, that I was like, oh yes, absolutely, I get it. I've had questions. I've had discomfort in figuring out what is my feeling, but what I'm not going to do is project my discomfort onto anyone else, because what I'm going to do is have conversations. I'm going to research. I'm going to look into it and question myself. And what I've come down to, why the hell do I care what anyone else does? Do you get me? It doesn't mean to say that you can't question certain things, and it doesn't mean to say I can argue with the West that go to an African country and come and put sanctions on them because of LGBTQ laws. When you know that what you did to that country in the first place, why they even act like that, in a way comes with a whole level of Western racism, which is white supremacy. There's conversations we can have along those lines, but it doesn't negate the fact that what someone does to themselves, who they sleep with, what they believe, again, it's got nothing to do with me at this point.
I understand where you're coming from. That makes sense.
They're just human beings wanting to have a human experience and not be treated like shit. And that to me is, however you want to self-identify, I feel if you have life going through you, do you. And I want you to be happy because I want to be happy. And that's it. I don't have to even understand, but I have to understand that you need your freedoms the same way I need my freedoms.
Yeah.
And that's what it comes down to for me.
But then going back to what you were saying, Auntie AK, when you're trying to enforce your way of thinking onto another country that you colonize, and what you've done, like say, for example, like say Jamaica, that was called Brock Island. Yeah, they used to rape the strongest men off the island, and that's the reason why they're so against it. That's where you have, like, say, the big man that men have to meet with, like the young girls and everything, to produce more slaves. So you have this incest thing going on there, where you even see like big men going for the little girls them and things like that, because these are things that we've gone through in terms of our ancestors, through our DNA now, right? So it's when you're enforcing your beliefs onto certain kind of countries and everything, I think that's where it's wrong. That's
that's not, it's not the same thing. That obviously that is terrible, and obviously the country's still healing from those wounds. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I think it takes time and education and and understanding that, and also like that truth also does need to be taught, and I think that is just a erasure of like Black history, not British history, actually. Do you know what I mean? In general, do you know what I mean? I think that's just part of it that does need to be explained, because I think if that was explained, it would make a lot of sense to a lot of people on why their homophobia is so high there. Do you know what I mean? So it would not saying that it's right, but there would be an understanding and then hopefully an education piece to know that the people who are, you know, homosexual now are not under those conditions. Do you know what I mean? So it's not the same thing. So yeah, I just think like we kind of need to I get the analogy, but it's kind of conflating the things. They're not the same. Do you know what I mean? It's just not the same thing, and I think you need to treat it as such. Like a person, you know, sexuality that is them. That's it. And how they identify, that's their choice. That's what they are, or what they feel that they are. So you can't. I don't know how you can tell someone they're not what they are.
Yeah.
But then I suppose it then goes back down to having.
Otherwise, you're the person enforcing them. You're doing the same oppressive thing. If you're telling them they're not who they are, then you are oppressing them.
No. But that's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is, if you don't have the understanding, yes. If I've not met, say, like somebody who's experiencing that, you know, I really feel like I'm a female. I don't, you know, my thoughts and just the way I feel, etc. I want to be a female. This is how I feel, etc. If I'm not exposed to that, right? If I don't have those kind of dialogues with a friend or somebody that I know, then it's easier for you to have a certain kind of mindset because you've not been exposed to that. That's what I'm saying. So this is coming from that perspective, amongst other things, from basically people's history, why they're going to look in a different kind of perspective.
100%. But I do get that, but I do think as well that doesn't give an excuse. And I'm not saying this is what you're hypothetically doing here, or the person is. It doesn't give an excuse for any sort of bigotry. Do you know what I mean? Just because you haven't experienced something, you don't know someone personally, or you can't ask them questions, that doesn't give you the right to put your, as Auntie AK said, to project onto them your stuff. It just doesn't. Do you know what I mean? You should be polite and courteous, or mind your business. Really and truly, got nothing to do with you. It's got actually no. If they're not coming to you, what the fuck does it have to do with you?
True.
I wouldn't mind that, but I feel like they just fling it in our face everywhere we go. Why?
I think it's because you know what? For every marginalized group that's fighting for their rights, people from outside that group say the same thing. White people are going to say, everywhere I go, there's black people fighting to be. I mean, I'm nice to them. They get this, they get that. Everywhere I go, I see a black person on TV. But when we are watching TV, we know that, yes, there's a black family on TV, but is the woman dark skinned? Is the family interracial? Is it a full black family? Is the woman a single? How are they being represented in these spaces? So for every time you might see that there's there's gay people everywhere in every show and every type of thing, how are they actually from that community? How are they being represented? Because some people from that community are saying, well, look, not every gay is a queen and saying, yes, girl. Some gay men, especially if they're not, I don't want to be definitive, but some gay men are like, we're not all, feminine in our ways. We are regular guys, as alpha as the next. We just happen to be attracted to another man. There's all these depictions that especially heterosexual white men project or control the imagery of what they think our marginalized groups are. You could say for it people who are Muslim, for all marginalized group people, the depiction of them in the mainstream gets sensationalized in a way that makes it fearful for those who are not in those groups. And I'm not going to sit and say innocent. I'm not innocent in having some thoughts on some things that I feel like it seems like there's an oversaturation, but I have to check myself. And what I won't do is go up in a public space and then project my insecurities to then cause more oppression and bigotry. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I get that.
And also you have to remember that, especially when it comes to attention and what people focus on, they always amplify, and they love polarity in the media. So if they're showing images and people are reacting to it negatively or positively, on one side, somebody's like, oh, I'm being seen. On the other side, it's like, I see you too much. And now I feel like you have an agenda. They pump that more because discourse sells in every single way. We're going to watch it longer. We're going to speak about it. And at this moment in time, that is the transgender story. you have two sides of people being like, it's too much, and other people being like, we're not even being shown in the right way. You're not even seeing our actual stories. You're not even hearing from us. So it's not that it's being forced, and you have to kind of think of, why is it being forced, and why am I even seeing it like that? It's really being very critical on every type of media that is being put in front of you, especially when it makes you want to strip them of their humanity. Just think of, why is that person the new ones to be oppressed? What are they trying to get us to do? And really, like, think back to when that was Black folk.
Okay. Right. So Petula has said, when the new normal starts enforcing their views and ideas in areas through education, it started with unisex toilets. Now books are encouraging young people about homosexual activity. She also goes on to say, does any sane parent want to have their children exposed to these things? We all have opinions and are entitled to it. Parents have rights to say, no, we don't want this in our schools.
You absolutely have the right to argue against or for whatever you want, for whatever you believe works for yourself and your children. However, do you know what I would rather? That sex wasn't so prolific in everything that we do in our life. Sex shouldn't be the thing. Do you know what I mean? And then if sex wasn't such a big deal in every facet of our life in this world, then these conversations wouldn't even be so prolific. And actually, what schools should be teaching at a very early age is relationships, love, empathy, the things that we need to be taught as humans. We're not taught. The sex, the attraction, and the minute you do this, it's the labels that society puts on people that makes us fearful. Because actually, like I used to say, I was in quotes a tomboy back in the day. I was in quotes, me and my best friend used to hold hands back in the day. But because of society, its need to genderize and polarize and section people off, it creates these fearful boxes. Because so then everyone's scared of everything, and everything becomes about sex. It's not. It doesn't have to be. That's what's the problem. It's not about whether this is taught in schools or whatever. It's actually, you shouldn't be fighting for that. Actually focus on, do you know what, school? How are we going to change the curriculum to be more empathetic of love, humanity, and things like that? As parents, maybe that's the argument you should be arguing, because then you don't get boxed into being a homophobic parent trying to tear down a curriculum and insult a community of people. Change the narrative and say, actually, how do we teach love to our children and things like that, and remove the sexual act from it, kind of. Maybe that's what is a new tactic. Then everyone kind of gets their views across.
I would just add to that, like, I think it's tolerance, right? Because you're not going to like everything. Do you know what I mean? I think ultimately it's just teaching tolerance, and I think tolerance definitely needs to be taught from birth as much. Do you know what I mean? So as young as possible, really and truly, and it should be part of everything, and then we wouldn't have so much problems. And that it's just that we are different, and that is okay. Like, you know. Yeah. It doesn't mean that you're less than, doesn't mean I'm taking from you, doesn't mean that you're going to lose because I appear to be winning. Do you know what I mean? That it's just, yeah, I actually find these types of opinions, I'm not going to lie, like really exhausting. Do you know what I mean? Because it's just like, if you can't see as a person, well, I can't assume where you're from, but we are all people of color, like the oppression that we feel. Imagine like any sort of intersectionality, like, do you know what I mean? Like it's more like, so let's give other people a break, man. Allow them. They're not doing anything.
Also, thinking of school in that way and education, there are way more things that are detrimental to our kids that go through our education system than the odd time when they do a sex education class or you read a book. There are far more things. Let's go on the things that they don't teach our kids. They don't teach them about financial literacy. They don't actually teach them how to have loving relationships with each other. They don't actually teach anything that is empowering to their soul.
That teach you the power of your mind.
That would be way more of an important.
That would be just like the key for everything.
If you're really against the education system, I would lean into that and remove them and educate your children yourself. but it wouldn't be on the sexual education stuff. It's like that's like one day of the thousands of days that your children are going to be in the school. It's so minute of something to focus on. I think we have bigger things to think about, honestly.
I definitely think that if you're taught properly, so many things that force people into a mindset would be removed, and there'll be a lot more honesty in who people are, however they identify, if you're empowered from the jump.
Yeah.
I think a lot of anyway, yeah.
And those classes, they're not going to teach you, like, I swear down, like, what do these parents think? Like, the kid is going to learn about that two men can have sex and then suddenly they're homosexual. Like, it doesn't work like that. It just doesn't.
Well, I think that's fair, though. But I think that's
it's not how it works. It's not. It's fair, but it's not real.
It's not real. It's
not real.
I think. Again,
I don't want to seem like for some people it might feel real, but that is literally not how it works. I just want you to know that
there's an element. I think with all young people, I say young. Let's be patronizing. For young people, as they're exploring themselves, we're not oblivious to the fact that young people copy each other. Young people influence each other. Young people try things because their friends tried it. So there's an element of that. But true to the core, if someone is something, and that's how they feel, it's going to be less about my friend is gay, so I'm going to be gay. My friend is straight, so I'm going to be straight. My friend is bi, so I'm going to be bi. It's not that. It's like what is inherently in their heart and soul and what they genuinely are attracted to. Because even if they are copying their friend, let's just say for the very basic they're copying, eventually it's going to come out. Their true selves are going to come out at some point.
Yeah.
So just forget about it. And that's the thing, unfortunately, Pulitula, it's these conversations, and that's the problem. You might not be being homophobic at all, but because of the nature of these conversations and how these boxes put us in to discuss it in any type of way, you automatically get labeled as a homophobe or whatever the other things could be. And it's just exploring the conversation. I think it's about exploring the conversation.
Okay, so I want to go over. Let's have some good news now. Could we have some so we can wrap up the show now? Is there any good news out there? Because I just feel like that was just a little bit intense for no reason. But anyway,
it wasn't deep.
It wasn't, but it's just I wanted to keep it just we just have it anyway. Yeah. So has anybody seen that new Stormzy giving education to the young people on the YouTube? Stormzy gives. So he's got this they got this show. Stormzy gives cute kids life advice, and he's like a therapist kind of thing, like he's Dr. Mike.
Oh, I didn't think it was like a show.
It's just a little.
Yeah. It was like
show. I'm just making it like as if it's a show, but
his nephew's school.
Oh,
it was very
so cute.
Yeah.
That's cute.
I must watch that.
No, he's doing what we love, showing the best side of themselves, doing the most. He's giving back to the community. He's setting the example of you can be super famous and rich if he's rich, however he classes himself, and still give back to the community without compromising who you are. Again, this is obviously the story that we see in the public eye. I don't know him personally, but what we're seeing is an example of what I'd love to see more Black, especially male, British famous people do.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
And okay, because we're going to wrap up now. Well, is there anything any of you ladies want to add on as well? Anything you want to share? What y'all doing for Christmas?
I was going to say free Meghan, but
oh yeah, we didn't even talk about that.
You did it. It's probably too long now.
Yeah.
Anyone would think that she's on trial, but anyway.
I know. That is the truth. It actually is the Tory Lane's trial. It's not Meghan's trial. I would. What would be great good news is an outcome of this trial that feels like it's been going on for absolutely ages. But that there's some type of justice would be great for Meghan.
Yeah,
that would be good news.
Have you guys all watched the documentary on Harry and Meghan?
I
Which
finished.
No, Megan Thee Stallion. Sorry.
Oh, oh
Yeah,
shit!
we're talking about Megan Thee Stallion, but Harry and Meghan, I have finished the documentary.
Oh
Yeah.
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 Okay.
I've watched
Hold
it.
on. Sorry, what's going on with Megan Thee Stallion? Like, sorry, am I just like really out of the loop? I am.
Oh, how do you not know
A
about
little
this?
bit. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, I am at the loop. I know she was. I saw something the other day, but I don't.
You
I
know
don't
she was shot, 2 years ago.
Right.
You know
She
she
got
was shot.
Yeah, I know she got shot. Yeah.
Yeah. So this is
I
the
know
trial.
that. I'm not that. Yeah.
Okay.
I know that.
But basically, they were supposed to do summaries today, and then they managed to locate Tory Lanez's
Oh, they
bodyguard,
found him. Okay.
yeah, who was the driver, and so he's delaying the ending of this trial because now he's going to give evidence,
Whoa.
and that's happening today. So
Oh,
they probably
really?
won't
Okay,
have
I didn't know
verdict before Christmas, but yeah, that's just happening today.
Wow.
So you guys going to be touching on the end results? I'm assuming.
Most definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna lie, you ladies are just boss, mate. I'm telling you, like, mate, I'm just seeing you lot's work. I'm like, yo, mate, you lot make me feel exhausted, like shit. I have got to step up. I've been doing this for 7 years, and you lot just came and just over pandemic, and I'm just made a team lit up. I'm like, yo, you are amazing. Seriously, I love it.
Oh, thank
And I
you.
love the new studio as well.
Sorry?
Your new studio, it looks,
Yeah, it looks
great,
dope.
man. You lot are one and good.
Thank
Thanks, man.
And can I just say, I really love when you don't have the conversations with Aaron. I think
Yeah.
Aaron,
Oh, yeah.
She's got a crush.
he is.
Oh,
No, I don't have.
No,
Oh, do you?
I'm only joking. T. She likes
No, no,
his
no.
mind. She likes his mind.
Do
She
you know what? I'm a sapiosexual. I get attracted to intellect. However,
Okay.
I just feel like this guy's wisdom is on a next level. And the way that he just breaks stuff down, I love his analogies. So I just love when he's there. I like watching him with other people, but I got introduced to him through you, so I stayed on.
Nice.
Oh,
We're going to tell us to get some commission.
yeah.
yeah.
Next time we have him on, we'll definitely mention that.
We'll clip this bit. We're like, yep.
You shine
He is
better when
single,
you're
isn't he? That's really single. So, you know,
small.
if you did like him.
No, it's not like that. I don't work, but I can say, see, the beard is glorious. Beard is glorious.
I'm not a beard person.
I'm a beard person.
I swear, what did you answer? Do you? I swear, someone said about he's got no hair. He's all his hair is here, isn't it?
Yeah.
Oh, no, they did not.
No, I didn't say it. I'm just repeating it. I didn't actually say it.
Not you, but I'm saying no. Whoever was the person that said that,
Yeah,
they really
yeah,
said
yeah.
that.
It wasn't one of us, was it?
No, but all guys
Was
with beards is a thing, though. That's what they do. They don't have hair
Yeah.
yet, but they have.
Yeah, to compensate. Because
Yeah, but I like a low beard. I don't like a beard.
Well, like a goatee kind of thing.
yeah, I
No,
don't
not
clean
not that.
shaven, man. I don't want none of that stuff.
I like clean shaven.
Yeah.
No, there needs to be something. It's like
don't
man, it's like man. It's like man makeup.
Itchy,
No.
man.
You're
Don't
good.
like that.
Nana, you good, man. You have your husband, man. You're good. Yeah.
I know. I'm really trying to insert myself.
No, it's like, yeah, that's what we do. We shut her up when she talks about relationships. We're just like quiet. We shut her up. Thank you, ladies, for having us. It's been
Well,
fun.
ladies, thank
Yes.
you so much for coming on the
Thank
show this
you.
evening.
Thank you
Yeah,
for having me.
man.
Really
You're welcome.
enjoyed your input and just loving what you ladies are doing from the heart. Like, seriously, you queens are just amazing, each and every single one of you. And we just want to say, well done. Keep on doing what you're doing. And we will continue to share about you guys because, yeah, the conversations are just great.
Absolutely.
Amazing. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank
Very
you.
Yeah, and I'm always up in your messages and stuff. Like
Yes. We
I am.
appreciate it. We love it.
I think I fell asleep watching the show last night. I was just like, yeah, I was feeling sick, but I was just like, I gotta get it in. It's 8 o'clock.
Oh, I love that.
All right. But what you guys, before we end with you, what you guys got planned for the Christmas anyway? Do you guys celebrate it or what's your plans?
Home with the fam, and that's it. Keep it quiet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Home with
Yeah.
the family. But that week, you know, like the week between Christmas and New Year's is like, that's my raving week.
Oh,
I'll be out and about.
Oh, so where are you gonna be? What's going on?
Off the Wall.
Oh, yeah.
I think it was like back to 95. There was a few spots that I'll be out and about.
Oh, I'm going away. What am I talking about? Yeah, I'm going away. I'm going to New York on the 29th. And then I'm actually changed it, guys. We're going Cancun now. Yeah. So from New York. Yeah. So go for a couple of days and then go back to New York.
If I say I'm gonna put it down.
Don't apologize, Queen. What are you apologizing for?
No, because AK gets jealous.
I'm not gonna lie, I'm proper hating right now.
I am going. Your heart's content, man. Cancun.
I hope it don't rain, you know.
Oh,
what do you mean?
Sorry. Sorry, out loud. Oh shit. Sorry. I hope you have the best weather. Sorry.
Let me just check the weather. No, actually, no, already. It's not gonna rain.
No, it's gonna be lovely.
Oh shit. Am I really hating like that? No, seriously, you deserve it.
I'm
You're
gonna
gonna have a beautiful time. The weather's gonna be amazing. Everything. Apart from New York, it's gonna be cold.
Yeah, New York's gonna be cold. Oof.
Yeah. But Cancun's gonna be beautiful. So enjoy yourself. All right, ladies. Thank you so much.
Later.
Good night.
Bye, everyone. Bye.
Bye. Oh, that was
the aunties, they're amazing. Oh my gosh.
That's one that I can tick off the list. Like I
know you're a big fan. I'm a fan as well, like big time. Like they're just so, and I just love the diversity of the conversations.
Absolutely.
And I think that's what it just goes to show everybody's mind is different and it's okay.
Yeah. I love
what I'm saying. You know,
I love the way they break down stuff as well. Like they are they give you that education.
Yes.
Like I said, like I don't know everything. And for me, it was very black and white with Mbappe, but to hear their perspective on it, or like individually, it's now made me think,
Makes you look at things differently, isn't it?
Yeah, and that's what I mean. And that's the joy of having these kinds of conversations, because we are not exhaustive of all information. Like that's the joy of life, is just learning and sitting at the feet of somebody that knows more than you. Like me, I love to learn. So
and I think it's important because at the end of the day, you know, like if you feel like you're the teacher at all time and never the student, you know, like you feel like I like to, I know I do ask the dumb questions because I'm not gonna lie. That's just how it is, and it's okay. I'm actually finding it okay that I don't know shit, but it's all right for me to ask the questions so I can learn about it. Do you get it? You know, like people when they were talking about Meghan Thee Stallion, I had no idea what they were talking about. Do you know? Now I'm going to look into that.
I watched them last night. I knew they were talking about Meghan Thee Stallion because I think they're fans as well. I think of Megs. So for me, like I don't really follow that stuff, but I suppose because I've been listening to them, there's a few questions. If anybody knows out there, what was it? Like I don't understand how like she lied about having a relationship with Tory. Like, why did you lie about that? If you were in something with him, why did it take you so long for it to come out? So for me, that was the only kind of like red flag. Like, what's that all about? So yeah.
Mental Excel Digital says that Stormzy video was a joy to watch. Yeah, man, it really was. Because when I was watching, I was like, I was in stitches, and his nephew came, and his nephew was just so shy, like so proud, like it's my uncle, and he's like, you're not gonna ask me no question, and he's just smiling, you know, just it's just so cute, and it's just so refreshing to see one of our own, and it's a young black man. And he's done so well for himself, but it's not about him doing well for himself. It's been portrayed in this positive light and being himself. Do you get it? You know, like you're not trying to talk a certain way. You're just talking to the youths, them straight, you know, like one of them said, oh, if I found a £10, no, like, what should I do? And he's like, well, he was basically saying that you should just give it in. But if you found it in the park, then go and buy your sweets, isn't it? Like, who are you going to give the money to? Go buy your sweets, in it. Go do what you got to do with the £10. Keepingitreal.com. Do you know what I mean? But it's just the way he speaks to them, it's just normal. It's in a language that everyone can understand.
Yeah.
And that was just so beautiful. Kwame, big up yourself, Kwame. Kwame said,
Every time.
what did he say?
Oh,
But Burna Boy toured down Jamaica. That was on Sunday, right?
that was Sunday, and Leela Ike was, I think she was before him. Like, I think she warmed up the stage for him. And all I can say to you, you see the outfit she wore is an English Jamaican that's here in the UK called Romario Chavoy. He's a bad stylist. Like, I'm loving her futuristic kind of like Afro look at the moment. Yeah, Leela's my girl still.
Yeah, we love Leela, and yeah, she's just like our little daughter, you know.
For real. But I love the way that Jamaica's just really gravitating to the Afro beats and stuff. Like, yeah, but those tickets are expensive, man.
Yeah, what was it? 60,000. How much is that in Kwame, can you translate? How much is that?
Convert for us.
Convert for us, please, because we don't have time for convert. But yeah, Nova says she hopes. I'm assuming she's talking about Meghan Thee Stallion. I hope she gets justice. Cardi B and Boo and Tracy Ellis Ross are also in Jamaica. Rotted. It looks like said Jamaica's a place to be. Listen, I ain't gonna lie, man. I'm so hating right now. I love Jamaica. Like, I love Jamaica. From when I don't even understand how, as an adult, I didn't move back to Jamaica, because that's like one of my most funded memories of my childhood. The best favorite part of my childhood. Everything else is negative, but living in Jamaica for that 2 years or whatever that duration was when I was a kid, I remember it like more than anything else.
It does. It impacts on you differently, especially if you're like, my first time going to Jamaica was when I was 21, and I went for a week. I was working with this lady, and she was like, I'm going to Jamaica for 1 week. And I was like, I'm coming. She asked me if I wanted to go. Nobody'd ever said in my family or anything, come, let me take you back home. So when I went there, I didn't want to leave. I couldn't understand, like, what? Why are we staying in the UK? Yeah. What?
Exactly. And that's how I felt when I was last in Jamaica, and I came back in 2020, just before the pandemic lit. Literally, my brother, he dropped me back to the airport, and he said, Casman, I understand where y'all go back for, because the way I was, and you know, like people say, yeah, but it's holiday blues. It wasn't a holiday blues. It was just the realization of what I'm leaving and what I'm going to. Do you get what I'm saying? And it wasn't even like to say, I'm living this lavish lifestyle. I'm still living the basic with the natives. So it wasn't a thing where I'm staying in a bossy hotel and like I'm literally having to, you know, use cold water and share a bed and you understand what I'm saying? Even though like at my parents' house, we've got, you know, the rooms and everything else, but I went into Spanish Town and, you know, I had to share and everything else. But it's just that humble way of living. It's like when the other day on Saturday we didn't have no water because the Thames water pipe burst. In Kilburn because of the flooding. Like people were cussing and going on, you know, like about the water and everything else. To me, it was just like, buy water from the shop, or you just boil it and you just get on with it. Do you get what I'm saying? You're just used to then kind of living there. But I think when you're in the West, we become so
complacent.
It's fine.
What
did they do when the blackout happened?
Yeah.
Anyway, let's not talk about that because
it was supposed to be ending on a happy note.
Yeah, we're living on a happy note. So, guys, next week Wednesday will be how much? What? He said it's 27 by 333 pounds for the VIP. I want it. Mate, that's like a quarter of your fare to go to Jamaica.
Do you understand?
Burna Boys, them people are living good. Shit. So you know, it says pure uptown Kingston and the foreign them I go to that.
And that me I said.
I hope they do something for the locals. Maybe that's where they got the £27 ticket. So that'd be like about 2,000 or something like that. So what kind of seat is that going to be? Do you know what I mean? Anyway, yeah. So next week we will have our last show for the year. And then so next week is the 28th. We will do another show. We're going to be talking about finances. We've got Andrea Corbett that will be joining us. She's like a financial black girl coach, and she's got like a journal out. So she's going to share a bit more about that and what she does and her services. Then we also got Coach Carla, our lovely Coach Carla, is going to be also talking about talking about the having intentions of setting your vision boards, or just doing things from home. And then and that's it. We're just going to be just wrapping it up for the new year. And then we will commence again towards the end of January, because we're going to take a nice, well-deserved break. 3 weeks.
Yes.
We may go onto the Instagram during that time. So if you're not following us on IG, please endeavor that you do, so you can stay in the loop with us. And if you haven't subscribed to the channel, please do so now. It's not going to cost you a thing. And please, guys, if you really can, I know I ask this all the time. I feel like I'm begging, but I'm just keeping it real. Could you just put a comment, just not a comment in this chat, but a comment after the show, and just say, so we know who's been watching and things like that. And those who are catching a replay, if you can do the same as well, and even just share your opinion if you can. And it would be just great just to see who's in our community, so we can communicate with you as well. T, do you have anything to say?
No, just please do like, comment, subscribe, and share.
Yes, please. Sharing is caring. So until next time, you've been watching our chat show. I'm Kazmak.
And I'm your girl, Miss T. Have a great evening.
Peace.